Welcome in, everyone, to episode 189 of the HurricaneKaz podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Peng. I'm joined by HurricaneKaz, PvP Josh, Twastell with the fresh new Ethernet cable connecting to his computer with, I think, half a second to only 1 second at max delay. I'm feeling great today.
That's a treat.
Yeah. How are y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Doing good.
Not too bad.
All right.
You know, we're sneaking up on episode 120 or 200 pretty quick. I mean,
I was gonna say 120.
Well, I was gonna say because the last time around, the last time around I felt the same way. I was like, oh, 100's coming right around the corner. We're in like 10 episodes away. I was like, but in 10 episodes later, I'm like 3 months down the road. I was like, well, that actually took kind of a while to get there. But we'll definitely do something special for episode 200. Luckily, we have some time to brainstorm that. So, well, yeah, when would that be? When is episode actually 100? Now that I'm curious, like what week is it?
It's like 11 weeks from now, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. First week of May-ish or last week of April?
Wow. Okay. Well, that'll be post Atlanta Regional. So, yeah, maybe in that one, Kaz holding up a medal.
I dare to dream.
I think we should. If you win it,
maybe all of us besides Steve are holding up a medal.
That's also true.
Wait, none of us have medals yet this season, right?
No.
Hey, Kramer, stop biting that. Kramer.
None of us besides you have medals.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like there's a distinct lack of medals all around.
Well, I was gonna say if anyone wins a medal, this season or a trophy at like an international, you're required to hold the trophy or wear the medal the entire rest of the season for the podcast.
Right.
Is that fair? Until after Worlds?
Lock it in. Won't affect me.
I feel like that could. Affect
Steve's trying to not
people
compete for the rest and just like do some commentary. So I guess
more than others.
Yeah.
I guess for him it's not as highly like.
We'll give Steve a medal for best Australian commentator.
Well, I don't deserve that one either. But
We
a medal I can get.
That's first time I haven't seen him throw Debbie under the bus when given the opportunity. Okay, let's head down to some events before we talk about the Atlanta regional and other regional kind of stuff as well. We have Fuecco community announced, so unfortunately we didn't get to play their game last time in time, but I don't know if what did we decide on? Was it like we transfer 75% of shinies we catch?
Yeah, 75% was what we agreed.
75% of all shinies you have. Sorry, yeah.
As long as Tristen's cool with it.
I
He wasn't around for that.
Oh yeah, Tristen, are you cool with that?
Trying to think about the math there.
It's like enough to keep like.
So that's like 3 out of every.
Yeah. Rounded up too.
Are we doing? Oh, I was gonna say rounded down. I'd be more okay with that.
Okay, we can do rounded down. That's fine. I'm not. It's not a hill.
Also, I was gonna say maybe if multiple people lose, how does it work if multiple people lose?
Then they all do the 75%.
If multiple people.
I think they all do it, but the thing is, like,
multiple people lose, and you drop it to like 50% or something.
Well, the thing is, you already know if you're transferring ahead of time. So if you know you lost, you could just like, if you really want extra shinies, just play a little bit more, I guess. But I don't know. I'm okay with still doing 75% even if multiple people lose, because I think 50%. I'm just like, I could care less, right? If it's just half of my shinies, because I probably transfer that anyway, just at least that anyway to like clear storage regularly.
Yeah, that's kind of my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thought process is just that like there's some community days where I'm working, and so I only like button like maybe 2 or 3 shinies.
Yeah.
And like I don't have a choice to like grind harder.
Yeah.
Because I'm working.
Well, okay. Well, what do you want to do? You want to do 75-50?
I think that's not terrible.
I mean, to be honest with
so
you,
if we all get it wrong, then we all lose. Like I don't.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that we could just like this is just for funsies. We could just throw out the extra rule there of like if Tristan's working that day, make it 50-50 for him. Like,
I think okay. That's how about that? That's fair. That's fair. So what if we do 75 if we could play it, and we'll do 50 for anyone that just can't play it in general for whatever reason, right? Because I'm like, well, what if I'm working during that time? Okay. 75, 50 for we'll do 75, 50.
I guess it's like 75 if you are able to play the way you would want to play, like and then 50 if like you're for whatever reason you cannot, like you're working or sick or something like that.
All right.
Now, not if you decide not to play. If you're just hanging back.
No. I mean like a legit reason why.
And 90% if you really want to play the events and you're going to play the whole time. Especially if it's a bird for Kaz. You gotta guess all these birds correctly.
No, listen, I did not want to play like Carablast and Shelmet Day, but like I did.
Yeah, I just played while watching the Super Bowl. Actually, I just had the Go Plus going. But...
I got a total of 1 shiny.
I didn't
realize the Super Bowl was that big in Australia.
What was really weird about that one is that like I did kind of casually play the whole time. I wasn't really hardcore grinding or anything, and I got like 5 Carablast shinies, but only 1 Shelmet shiny. It was weird, but the ratio...
I think if there's like a dual like situation like that, you just transfer the percentage combined of the two rather than like 74% this, 75%, because that'd just be kind of annoying. But okay. Anyway, we got sidetracked a bit. For our events, we do have ourselves Fuecco Community Day. So that was the one we unfortunately didn't guess it in time for the Josh bets.
Man, I was gonna guess that too.
Were you really?
Yeah, I think it was pretty obvious.
Oh, I didn't put enough thought into mine, so I'm glad we didn't do this because I'd be transferring all these guys. Anyway,
I would say that that's kind of the problem with the game, like the guessing game of Community Day in general, is like we don't always get announcements like around the same time.
Yeah, I think next time we just like guess it like on our like we don't have to guess it right the week before, right? As long as it's ahead of time. So maybe next week for next month for April's we'll guess it like next week or something.
Yeah,
so
sounds good.
Plenty of time to plan it out.
I mean, the announcements are usually pretty consistently the week after Community Day, like the last one happened.
Oh,
I don't know about that.
Like fairly consistent.
I think Tristen said that last time too, and right when this was announced, I was like, "Dang!" I was like, "He's 100% right." But we'll see if that continues to trend or not. But yeah, as long as we just make sure we get our guesses before that Community Day, I think we're fine. If anything, if we want to make it more time based, we'll guess it the week of that Community Day, so that the following episode we'll know if we guessed it right or not. We do that as long as we remember to. Make our guesses. So we'll make our guesses the week of 8.
I will say,
as long as we remember to is a pretty risky statement for this group.
That's
we got it.
But there's also a concern that like obviously there was sort of everyone was sort of guessing that it might have been Fuecco in the run up, but I will say that there were leaks in the lead up to this one as well. So it was sort of like if we guessed, like say they hadn't announced it yet, but we were guessing today, it had been leaked already. So we might have.
Okay, let's just guess ahead of time. Yeah, let's just guess like because they're like, oh, we have leaks of Aegis coming out. I'm like, oh, well, yes, I'll be Community Day, but maybe not. Who knows? But okay, anyway, Fuecco on March 8th, Saturday, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Obviously, it's going to learn Blast Burn, but on top of that. After the event starts and continuing afterward, Skeletors can learn the charge attack Torch Song. How's Torch Song look, Professor Tristen?
Is it
I don't think we know anything about it yet.
Is it also a fire type attack? Like,
yeah,
I would assume so.
Yeah.
It just says 100 power for gyms and raids and 70 power for trainer battles, and increases the user's attack by 1 stage.
Yeah, that could be pretty interesting, honestly. If it's got to be, I think, for it to be usable, it's got
the energy cost.
Yeah, I was gonna say for any purposes for Skeldurge, it needs to be less than Blast Burn to be viable. It's kind of like what I think of Blaze Kick on Blaziken. Like most people don't want Blast Burn on it because it's kind of overkill.
Yeah.
And just a cheaper fire move is much better. But this is nice too because it boosts your attack. Hey, Kramer.
Honestly, I don't.
Biting the freaking cords on the.
I don't know if Skeldurge is going to use Blast Burn, period.
That's what I was going to say.
That the Disarming Voice
That's true.
Disarming Voice Shadow Ball is a really good coverage because Ghost and Fairy coverage is like almost an unresisted combo, I think.
Yeah, it's like Leo and like the family.
And then I think the only things. Yeah, right, exactly. And then adding in the fire coverage from Incinerate too, you get like 3-way damage coverage. And I think like you said, I think Lit Leo is like the only thing that resists all 3 of those moves. So like Skeldurge is already in a pretty good spot with like really good 3-way coverage. So it's like hard to wall all of it. And like I just don't think it like running Blast Burn with Incinerate is just like loading up on the fire damage, and then what are you going to drop? Like, are you going to drop Shadow Ball? Because like Disarming Voice is your cheapest move. I think there is maybe some play for Torch Song depending on the energy, but I do think that the coverage it already has is probably its best set most of the time.
Yeah.
Because Incinerate already does so much damage for fire.
What?
It's nice having those other coverage combos.
What other fast attacks does Skeldurge have access to? I know. Does it have any other ones in Go or?
I mean, we can thankfully check thanks to one of the greatest resources of all time, pvpoke.com. Yeah, it's got Bite. That's it. It's Bite and Incinerate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it had access to a ghost type fast attack, it would be. Oh, like Blast Burn would be a little more acceptable on like the second Skeldurge you build.
Right, like if you flipped the fire and ghost moves basically.
Yeah. Like if it had Astonish, if it had I don't know, Hex or something. Like,
I feel like if it had Astonish, it would just most would run it because otherwise you just like lose the mirror pretty hard. I feel like so.
True.
Bite Skeldurge is interesting. I feel like
it looks like it can get
cheese some people, but
it looks like it can learn Lick, Hex, and I think Shadow Claw.
Well, Shadow Claw would be pretty good.
Shadow Claw would be nuts on it. I feel like something I was thinking about is what if some people use some cheese strats where they're using Bite with the Torch Song to boost the bite damage.
It would depend on again. I think, like Tristen said, the energy.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the meta
requires.
Too. Yeah, like if it was ever allowed in like Battle Frontier, then I think like in any like specific limited meta, I think it could be good if it's like popular. Because if everyone's using Skeldurge, they just use the bite
variant.
It's like
super niche, though.
Yeah,
rip TMs, I guess.
Right. That's true.
Anyway, so outside that, we'll find out more once we have information on the energy values, I should say. Event bonus: 3 times Stardust for catching Pokemon, pretty nice. 2 times candy for catching Pokemon, and XL candy, all that stuff, all the usual stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So be on the lookout. Are there any events that overlap that? I don't even know.
Vancouver, I think, is on the same weekend.
Okay.
That makes my
calendar. Vancouver, and there's a Latium one as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I can see that now.
I think is it Fortaleza?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but yeah, it got cut off in my little calendar thing. Vancouver was too long a name.
Too many letters. Don't even.
All right. Well, be on the lookout for that event. Speaking of Community Day, we have the next bunch of Community Days and also events saved. So, or like we call it like a save the dates, I should say.
Dates.
So obviously we have March 8th for this upcoming one. We have a Community Day Classic on 22nd. Actually, this is cool because we can actually predict. We can make our predictions for this too. I'm down to make predictions even for Community Day Classic for our low Community Day bet. I don't know about you all. I think that one's actually more interesting because you could like theorize what it is based on what we've already done, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do our regular community, like April community prediction. Actually, no, we should do our prediction for the community classic like now
Before it gets announced.
Isn't that coming up soon? The 20. Oh no, we're still a month away.
Oh,
yeah,
of March.
It's next month. Yeah, no. There's not one in February.
Okay, let's plan that next week. Let's plan like the April and the classic one next week, so we could make 2 guesses. Yeah, April 27th for the other one, which is not during Atlanta Regional, which is nice. Sunday, May 11th is another one for the May one, and then May 24th is Community Classic, and of course we have a bunch of other events to keep track of, like I don't know, Catch Mastery Raid Day. You can definitely check it out on the website yourself to see what's happening. Max Battle Weekend is March 8th through 9th, so that's probably pretty relevant for us. Because we'll have
is
being the Dynamax Dynacats podcast.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, sorry. I thought it was. I thought it was like
it's
like
not.
It's
battle not
weekend.
A battle. It's not the same as Go Battle Weekend, Caleb.
Never mind. I haven't even done any of the Dynamax birds yet, but.
Well, I mean, they're no longer available, so good luck.
I think you might be too late now.
See, we take like a few weeks off from the Dynacats stuff, and I'm just completely lost at this point.
And now he's in the dark again.
Yeah, someone give me a nightlight. All right.
There's so many events, though. There's literally, I was looking at it, there's literally an event, at least one, every single month of the season.
I hope every single month.
Every single month is not that bad.
Of course.
Or every single week.
Okay.
Of course.
Every single week, I mean.
Yeah, I think
it's also a event every single year.
Well, there's some
every week.
I think the thing that's interesting is there's some that are like back to back too, because like in April you have a raid day and then a hatch day the very next day, like so that weekend has like dual events right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was specifically looking at April.
And that max battle weekend.
Yeah, go ahead, Tristen.
That max battle weekend Caleb was talking about, I think that's the same weekend as Fuecco Community Day. So you have Community Day one day, and you have a max battle weekend all weekend.
It is, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a couple other... And like Kaz says, I think there's 1 or 2 other weekends where there's a Saturday and Sunday event. Also, this is not accounting for any potential Go Battle days or Go Battle weekends that could be thrown into that schedule as well. What were you going to say, Steve, about April?
We were sort of looking to schedule a tournament during April, and so I was like cross-checking the events and such, and there was literally like 3 weekend days that didn't have an event on it at the moment, again, pending Go Battle Day or something, but one of them is Easter. So if you sort of take that one out of commission, we're left with 2 days that don't have an event going on, which is
April has like that back-to-back weekend, like the first weekend in April, and then it has like the next weekend is a Sunday event, the next weekend is a Saturday event. Like, jeez.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
No breaks, only Pokemon.
Well, and the thing too is I was hearing from people that I think sometime in this next season there's like a weekend of the city safaris. Yep. I think in like 2 or 3 different cities, like the same weekend. Mm-hmm. And there's still in-game events happening that weekend as well. So they're like, how is this going to affect our event? Like, I don't know if it's spawns or research tasks or what, but like, are those going to like take away from our spawns from the city safari that we're like paying to do and traveling to do? Like, how is that going to work? And it just seems like too much to me. Like, I get that, like, I know that you don't have to play all the events, and I certainly won't be. And I understand they're trying to give a variety of events to cater to different people's interests. But it just feels like too many events in general for a season. Like, if they saw there was this many events, maybe this is not the season that you have 2 community classics. You only do 1. And like, maybe you take away like the research day or have 1 less raid day or something. It's just so jam packed, and I feel bad for any of the like community ambassadors that are trying to organize events for their communities, because like this is just gonna like wear them out. And this isn't even the season where we have like Global Go Fest and all like the crazy summer events. This is the season before that. So like I just feel like it's gonna wear out all these, volunteers and community organizers. And I've seen, people talking that are, like local game stores. Like I saw one person say that their local game store was not even going to try to organize any challenges or cups because they can't find a time that works for their store that doesn't conflict with an in-game Go event. So like it's going to be hurting community ambassadors. It's probably going to be hurting the play Pokemon local scene, which I would think Niantic would want to see succeed. And so it just doesn't make sense to me why there's such an overload of an events that is just taking up like every weekend and multiple days and multiple weekends. It just seems too much.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. But I guess unless the events are like all amazing, there's a lot that you could probably just skip to depending on what you're going.
Yeah, it's a little weird the way that they give us all of these dates at once. I feel like it makes it feel a lot more overwhelming than it might be once we know what some of these events actually are, which Pokemon they feature and how much we care. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. All right. Well, speaking of big events too, we talked about the Go Tour last week in Los Angeles and how they're still hosting it. And here's Niantic's additional information on how they look to support local communities during the Go Tour Unova Los Angeles event. So here's how they're doing it in terms of sorry, I'm just reading the page. But it was a Niantic and the Pokemon Company group will donate a collective $1 million to nonprofit organizations who are supporting relief efforts for those impacted by the LA wildfires. You can learn more about Niantic's donation at their specific link on their site, as well as the Pokemon group's donations on a separate site. So, yeah, so $500,000 is contributed from Niantic to California Community Foundation, Latino Community Foundation, Pasadena Community Foundation, and Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, which is definitely nice. Like they didn't have to do all this, so I do appreciate that. And honestly, I don't know how much money they're really making for this event if they're spending $500,000 just to donate to other efforts. So, and then there's separate stuff. Global Giving is the partner that the Pokemon Company is working with, and they're donating the other $500,000. So very nice from the two respective companies, and yeah, that's pretty much that. And they could just say other stuff about the actual events. Any thoughts on?
Well, they also note that encouraging trainers to use Campfire to meet up with like local communities and figure out where the safest and best spots are to still go and play.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really cool too, is like highlighting again, like, hey, this is your opportunity to connect to this local community and hear straight from them like what the best thing is to do. Which like a lot, if this were any other event, trainers might not take that opportunity, but I think that for this one it might be particularly important. So it's nice that they highlight that again. And I'd also like to point out, like they told us in that last post, they were like, you'll learn more about what we're doing to support the community like very soon, and here we are. So
1 week later, less than a week later.
So they do follow up, they do follow through, and I think that that's really important for people to remember, like as long as it doesn't want to jump the gun and give a bunch of sass.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't rhyme with Dev Diary, we're good.
Yeah, they're not allergic to it if it's...
Sorry, Niantic, I had to throw that one out. And then
and I always say,
oh yeah, no, go ahead.
Going off of what Kaz said, if you are going to the in-person Unova tour, check out the blog post. There was a separate blog post that we're not going to cover because most people aren't going. But there is another blog post that lists out all the local communities and their meetups and their campfires and all that sort of information. So if you are going, I would suggest checking out that blog post for more details to find people to meet up with to play the city portions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for anyone trying to meet me, well, you can meet me on the battlefield at that Friday Cup. You know, that's the best place to meet me. Steve, were you gonna say something on the topic?
I think just it's also nice that the Pokemon companies chipped in as well, because like they don't really have to, like they don't necessarily have a dog in this race when it comes to the specifically to the Go Tour, where it's sort of they've clearly linked up in this one announcement. You could argue that like, oh, you know, they're hosting Worlds in California, so like, you know, I guess it's could be partially linked there, but I do think it's nice that Pokemon companies popped in on this one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Anyway, so have fun if you're going to the actual events. But just want to give you all update either way, as I'm sure plenty of people are curious what Niantic is going to do. We also have our final event to discuss today is Pokemon Go and Major League Baseball knock it out of the park with a new partnership. Anyone baseball fan here?
Non-Americans about to go to bed.
Okay.
Really?
I guess I'll take it away then. I'm not the biggest baseball fan either. But anyway, so they're announcing a partnership between Pokemon Go and Major League Baseball during the 2025 season. All MLB, which stands for Major League Baseball, if you haven't pieced that together. All MLB ballparks will feature all new official club branded Pokestops and gyms so that trainers can play Pokemon Go from wherever they're sitting in the ballpark. Man, that would have been nice at the few times I went to a Braves game back in Atlanta. All right. Trainers can also check out newly created official routes at the ballparks. And then during the season, you know, trainers can continue the fun by attending Pokemon Go themed ball games. And here's the things you can expect during the theme games: Pokemon Go and club branded merchandise. I assume that's in game. I don't know, or maybe if it's in person, that's like IRL. That's kind of crazy.
No, it's actual.
Oh yeah, wow. I think that one's in person.
Yeah, it's like actual like, shirts.
Because the next thing on the list says
I went
exclusive
to the one...
in-game avatar items.
Okay.
So.
Wait, so where are they getting this?
Yeah, because I went to the night they had. So I went to the game they had for the Mariners, the Pokemon Go collab, and if you bought like a special ticket and there was like a limited number, it wasn't even that much more than like the cheapest seats they had, but you got to put in like your team and your shirt size, and then you would go pick it up. So I picked up, it was like a like Mariners Team Instinct like shirt.
Whoa,
thing.
Was it nice?
That's kind of cool. It's like decently nice. I mean, it's nothing like, it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like super nice, because I mean, it's probably made fairly cheap, but it's still pretty nice. I enjoy wearing it. It's a fun little thing to be able to like, even though I'm not a big baseball fan, like it's fun to be able to like wear something that like reps my like, you know, Seattle sports pride with my Pokemon Go and Team Instinct pride all on the same shirt. It's kind of fun.
Hey man, I feel like when Niantic you're listening, Professor Tristen could also be fashion Tristen here too. He could give some tips on how to improve that apparel. It was a pretty, I'd say this pretty well detailed review of the apparel from Tristen. Time research awarding exciting Pokemon counters is also a part of it, and then raid battles where trainers have a chance to catch Pokemon with a location card is part of it too. Because I saw a lot of people with Pikachu location cards, I think, from the Mariners game, right? So, I think
there's Mariners and there was like one or two other teams as well.
Yeah, I think there was one in Florida.
And they did the Marlins maybe, and like I think it was the Marlins and maybe one other. I can't remember now, but
yeah, I think they were probably just test running that partnership, and then now it's full fledged gone active for 2025. So there's a bunch of games listed. So definitely check out the websites on these thrilling theme games. No Atlanta Braves for some reason. What happened?
Oh. They're like, we're hosting a regional there.
Well, yeah. Maybe we need to step up the
I know some
baseball
people were
pride cast, you know, for the fellow Atlanta locals so they can have.
I know there were some people upset there was no some people were upset there was no LA Dodgers either.
Yeah.
Well, it does say it has a little note there that says like, please note dates are subject to change and additional dates may be added. So I mean, there might be, you know, more teams and or games added to the future. These are the ones that they kind of have ready to go right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun though because I saw there was a Texas Rangers game, so I tagged Texas Rangers fan on Twitter, and he seemed pretty excited about it.
That's pretty good. Yeah, no one tagged me for the Dodgers stuff as it comes up. I don't hate baseball, but it's just not usually my type of cup of tea. And no, I don't personally know Shohei Ohtani, even though I'm in the same city. Okay, sure, people dying to know. I get that asked all the time in Japan.
But you know his translator.
His translator? What do you mean? Who's his translator?
There was some scandal where his translator was taking money from him to gamble or something.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
remember.
Yeah.
But his translator stole a bunch of money from him basically.
Yeah, well, if I knew the translator, I wouldn't be telling no one. Anyway, let's head over down to Kaz's corner. It's been a while.
Yo,
I'm ready to win.
And last week I was all ready with some hot Community Day themed Kaz's corner, so now we're gonna go revisit that. And
with Fuecco?
Yeah. I wish, but no. My question is, what is the Scavalier's shell actually made with?
Okay.
Yes, you can look up a picture, Steve.
Right. A Scavalier.
Yeah.
What is it?
Now, obviously with the Pokemon typing, right? You sort of just go in my head, I've just gone oh, it's a bug steel type. So obviously the answer here is steel. But
I said made with, not made of.
Okay, I've got an answer.
This is so weird.
Made with and made of.
I have
because it's not a material
that
you're looking for.
What?
I will say that. What?
Okay, I'm in. Locked.
I feel like Josh has.
Okay, I think I know. I think I know too. All right.
I have no idea. Hold on. I'm trying to understand what this question is even asking.
It's really weird though.
The more time that Caleb and Tristen hesitate, the more Josh is wait.
Oh no, I feel good about this too now too. But I just this is the first time I looked at this. And I'm like, wait, this is actually kind of crazy. If it's what I think it is.
It feels. I don't know. There's sort of a question where it's where is the line between design and reality?
All right, I'm ready. I feel good about my guess too.
Yeah.
I just don't know where else you could go, to be honest with you. Instead of this feels like an answer.
Tristen, how you feeling? Feeling locked in? Feeling confident?
I'm still
he's so confused.
Right, to just split the rest of your points to me and Steve if we get it right.
I don't understand the distinction between made of and made with.
I told you it's not about what the material itself is. It's kind of where it comes from.
So hang on, I'm sure there's an example here.
Or what it comes from.
Say there was a crab, right?
Give me a very wrong example.
Well, here's an example, a hermit crab, right?
Let's use a real world example of the coconut crab that sometimes picks up actual coconut shells to use as camouflage.
Okay.
So it's not the shell is a coconut, but it's not made with coconut material, the material of the fruit or whatever. Does that make more sense? It's the object.
So what is it made
with? And Steve had a good point too, about how hermit crabs will kind of pick up some random thing sometimes and make their shells out of it. Make it their little home.
Yeah. Sometimes if I get a worse example, sometimes they'll foolishly grab a plastic bottle and use it as their shell, right? So the shell isn't made of, in this case, the answer to the Kaz's Corner question wouldn't be plastic, it would be plastic bottle.
Yeah, it would be a bottle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, here's where we would play the jingle if we had one. Just need some little bossa nova music, like do 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 do.
Someone get commission.
I feel good about this one. Can we do a double or nothing?
Hey, I'm catching up.
I have no idea. I'm just guessing something random. Let's go.
All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, send.
What?
Oh.
Okay.
Wait,
so
hold on.
Steve
Steve
said
was on the same wavelength as me.
It's a suit of armor.
Wait,
Caleb
hold on.
says-
What was the question again?
What are you asking? What the question was?
I just want to hear it real quick again, just to make sure I'm not going to change my answer.
Escavalier's shell actually made with? So Steve says
Steve's
suit of armor.
answer is a suit of armor. What?
Yeah, like it found a suit of armor and like used that.
Okay.
Like nice.
Which is not a bad guess. Caleb says a Shelmet's previous shell, and Tristen says swords. I was gonna say swords. And Caleb is actually right. A Shelmet's previous shell is actually what the Carablast uses after it evolves.
I thought me and Steve were on the same wavelength because he instantly knew, but it's crazy because I looked up the photo, right, of Escavalier. I'm looking at it and I'm like, hold on. Why does his armor look like Shelmet's like shell?
Yep.
Like the curl in the tail is the curl part of the Shelmet, and then the top part is like his freaking visor. And I'm just thinking, wait, Carablast just crawled into Shelmet's shell and then took it when he evolved. That's so weird.
I'll read you the actual Pokedex entries. So for Carablast, it says for some reason they evolve when they receive electrical energy while they are attacking a Shelmet. So the idea is they murder a Shelmet and their energy causes them to evolve. And then for Escavalier, it says these Pokemon evolve by wearing the shell covering of a Shelmet. The steel armor protects their whole body. And it's oh my god!
Yikes.
Dude, that's why when Shelmet evolves, it's get me out of this suit, man. These guys are coming for me still.
And there are real world examples. There's a whole, I think it's a whole family of bugs called assassin bugs that will kill other bugs and use their carapaces for camouflage.
I've seen those where they
nature is wild.
I don't think they're bugs. They're parasites or something that go inside.
No, they're bugs.
Oh, okay, they're bugs. Okay. Well, I'm just saying there's also some type of virus or parasite that also take over bugs.
Yes. Well, there is cases of I think we've all seen the nature clips from the nature documentary about the bees where their mind gets taken over by a fungus, and then they start attacking the other bees, and then they hoist that bee up and carry him away from the hive, and they're get out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's actually a really gruesome story that I wasn't, because I was wondering why are these two Pokemon grouped together for their community day, and then there's actual story reasons as to why.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just can't believe this is the first time I realized it too. When I was looking at the picture, I was I think also if I didn't know already, I have such a distinct memory of Carablast evolving to Escavalier, I would have looked at the picture. I would think Shelmet's the one that turns into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's kind of how Dragonair looks doesn't quite look like Dragonite. It's almost like it got flipped from from another dragon Pokemon or something. It's really weird. Sometimes there are little design synchronicities that don't quite line up. But this one actually they created a story behind it. And that's why I said, when you asked your typical question of, can I Google a picture? I didn't say, looking at the picture will help, because I was that's too obvious.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I mean, to be honest,
I've seen some people post,
it looks like a suit of armor as well.
It does look like a suit of armor. It has the what are those called? Jousting
lances,
arms? Yeah, the lance. It just has those for arms, and those don't come from anywhere. Just those are its arms now.
That's fair enough. Anyway, go ahead, Tristen.
I was gonna say I've seen some fan posts / fan art of people writing what they think the evolutionary lines should have been that look aesthetically make more sense. So I think I've seen people post Milotic evolving from Dragonair, for example, or I don't remember what some of the other ones were. Because like there's definitely some that like look funky, and there's like a few lines where you could sort of like cross the final evolution, and it like would look like it makes a little more sense based on what the previous Pokemon look like.
Yeah. I will say, like, the more I look at Escavalier's design, I do think it's pretty sick. And like, you can just see the Carablast in there. It literally just is in there.
No, I legit when I was looking at the photo, I was like, hold up, that's a Carablast sitting inside a Shellman's shell. What the heck?
That's
this
crazy.
guy didn't even evolve either. He just clawed into someone else's like corpse.
He like, well, it is also like kind of reminiscent of like hermit crabs too. It's like they clawed their way into it, and now the like shell has like warped around them. It's so wild.
Yeah, I would think he was on the same wavelength because he thought.
I thought so too. Honestly, I'm surprised, Steve.
The confidence, right? Because that's why I knew Tristen was going to guess it based on how he was answering. Because like the moment you like make that realization, you know, right?
Yeah, you either know it or you don't. Is really the.
Well, I don't know about that because you acted like you knew it too.
But like I didn't. But it's very, you know, I think that I have been disadvantaged by the fact that I didn't play Community Day. If I played the Com Day and I thought about it at all, then maybe I'd be like,
I knew at the moment I googled the photo, I looked at it, I was like, wait, there's no way. But
I thought about saying like that it was related to Community Day or whatever, but I didn't want to be too obvious.
Yeah. I think I remember on the day sort of having to go through thinking like, hang on, which one evolves into which one? Okay, I think that this one evolves over here. So like I was sort of aware that there was some confusion, but I just didn't remember what Shelmet looked like. Pretty crazy though.
It shows you in game what they evolve to.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then you'd have to have your game open, Tristen.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh.
I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember I would open the app, catch whatever was right next to me, close the app. That was and I just did that a few times through the 3 hours.
You know what we should do? I just realized we don't have the jingle ready yet, but for Kaz's Corner jingle, but I was gonna say, but then we can't ever play Kaz's jingle. I was gonna say whoever's currently in the lowest, their jingle is the one played every week, but then Kaz doesn't really have a chance to feature her jingle.
That's also, okay.
Notice that Caleb's only saying this after extending his lead. He was feeling pretty bad the week after he said whoever loses does it, and then he lost that week.
Well, I turned a new leaf, Steve. I feel a lot better now. So
a lot more confident.
We'll still do a little jingle sample from everyone next week, and then we'll see kind of how it goes. Anyway, let's head down to Go Battle League. But what's And
I have more bad news, Josh.
No.
Oh, she hit it. 26.
28.
28? Nice.
Yep. I hit it yesterday.
Can I just say? Thank heck, man.
What were you at? What were you at? Because,
dude, I have a feeling that it's in the 2100s. I've been absolutely tanking, man.
Wait, I feel like Tristan's ahead of you, and he just started playing GBL like yesterday.
He sent us a screenshot that he made it to veteran.
I'm in like
right?
Dude, what? He could have been part of this bet at the same time. It's still not lost.
Yeah. I have not enjoyed Love Cup at all.
Let me check.
It has been terrible.
You don't love it?
I don't. It's not going to be my Valentine.
You can run this team that I've been climbing with. It's pretty good. It's crap. What's the lead? Oh, a Lomo Mola lead, which is essentially just Water Bastion, which is why I enjoy it so much. Safe swap Galarian Slowbro, but don't run Surf. Surf doesn't even do that much. You run Sludge Bomb. Run Sludge Bomb Brutal Swing because most Talonflame will shield or no shield anyway, so it's kind of like a 50-50 if you go for the Surf. But Sludge Bomb does plenty too, and it just helps you win so many neutral matchups. Or does a ton into Lomo Mola, the Rollouters, Medsham, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was just waiting to not take GBL serious. I'm going meme picks from here on out. I'm done. I'm so sick of actually trying.
No more trying for me.
We're going Parasect from here.
Maybe in LA.
Say again.
At Worlds.
Oh, yeah. Actually, is it? Are we Slowpoke timing? That seems to be
I think Slowpoke's the way. The real question is, can we get the Slowpoke tail / shell to make it fully evolve?
Yeah,
but
I'll put out some inquiries.
Okay. We got a little bit of time, right? We got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Well done, Kaz.
Yeah, we're actually like 6 months away from Worlds, which feels like a long time, but I'm sure it'll actually come up like in no time as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw a King hit Legend with Caleb's old.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The King himself. Yeah. Well, he doesn't. Well, Steve couldn't do that. But wait, what team did you hit to 2600s with, Kaz?
Oh, it was in Love Cup, and it was Skeledirge with the double fighter backline. It was
Medicham,
Scrafty and Medicham. Yeah, and I had my Medicham on Psycho Cut so that I could run both Dynamic Punch and Psychic, which helped out a lot.
Yeah, that moveset.
Because then you can force because people would always Medicham is a safe swap, so people would always throw a fairy or a Skeledirge at it if they had it, and then Psychic actually forces the shield off of that so that you can get Skeledirge has the shield advantage so that you can get a nice tidy farm down most of the time.
That's smart. Are you still running Power Punch on Scrafty, or did you go Thunder Punch?
I was running Power Up Punch.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole time. I just found that it was so nice to be able to farm down the the normal types and then have a lot of energy. So you could probably get a shield by just throwing the Power Up Punch, even at a Talonflame or a Skeledirge, and then you have the boosted foul play that they're don't have a shield for this anymore.
I shielded one I shouldn't have. I was just like, what the heck is this guy not running Thunder Punch? That's why.
Right, you
wait,
gotta use the brain parts.
Yeah. Oh, you're in the 2100, Steve.
Yeah. I was doing these. I had almost given up. But what I was going for, I started this VOD channel, which isn't, I'm just so I could put Twitch VODs there. And I was I started going okay, now I need to put some clickbait thumbnails on these things. So let's just go for memes every stream. So I stole It's Axon's team one stream. I stole Dunebug's team. No thought, no watching their battles. And it was not going well. Maybe should have actually watched what they were doing before blindly taking their 3.
Wait, what else were you using in the Love Cup, Caleb, except for the Slowpoke or the Slowbro and the Alola?
Oh, Medicham in the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I was trying to counter Ice Punch, Psychic. I've seen a decent amount of Psychic Cut ones, and it has crossed my mind briefly, but I just haven't tried it.
It's just it makes the slow bro matchup a little bit better.
I think it's really smart as a safe swap too, to draw out their fairies if they have any as well, or Talonflame, and you just free up the Scrafty in the back.
Yes.
Yeah. Wait, what was your lead again?
Mine? Oh, yeah. Skeledirge.
Oh, Skeledirge. Okay. Yeah. So you're really strong.
So against your team, I would have to safe swap to the Medicham.
Yeah, I feel like you probably safe swap Medicham either way, right? As long as you lose lead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just meant against Alola Mola specifically. It's
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get out there.
Sure,
my team kind of counters yours too, because I have a Slowbro in the back, and then you have the Scrafty after Medicham. Anyway.
Rude.
I haven't put out the YouTube video yet. Okay, let's head down to Professor Tristen.
No, I gotta say though, I feel like the ELO marks were pretty well calibrated because Steve was at 24 something.
24.57 weeks ago.
Anyone else hit their marks.
Oh my gosh, weeks ago I would have lost. I could have potentially lost there, especially if
I was in a spot where I could have won, but
I think you've always been in that spot.
Yeah, I think I remember the night Caleb posted that he hit Legend, a couple hours earlier, I saw Steve went live on Twitch with a stream, a stream title that he was in the 2400s and making a veteran.
Now he's got stream content for weeks.
Could have gotten first.
I was legitimately concerned when I hit the 2600 yesterday. I was or actually it was the day before yesterday. I was genuinely concerned, when I didn't immediately notify you guys. I was what if I get there to the podcast and tell them that I hit it and Steve's already hit 2500 too?
Okay, can I say I was when Caleb was still in the race, my full intention was to like privately DM Tristen, like timestamp it, be like, hey, I've hit it now, and not tell anyone, just in case. But then when Caleb was gone, it was just Kaz. I was like, oh, I don't want to be mean.
Oh, you'll be mean if it's me.
Yeah, if it's Caleb. Thank you.
You know, it turns out Steve has other problems to worry about. He's worried about actually hitting the mark rather than hitting it and then DMing Tristen all this private information. Let's worry about the main objective here, Steve, before we worry about how we're going to celebrate. Steve's like, man, if I win, I'm going to make them wear this onesie.
I just needed more Open Great League. If we,
last time Steve was the turtle that like took a long time and took his breaks. This time he's the hare that got almost to the finish line and then ran the race backwards.
He was like, he made it to the finish line and then was like, you know what? I'm so far ahead. I'm just gonna run the race all over again.
Let me go back to the starting line.
I feel bad for those guys. I'll give them a fighting chance.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Kaz has
just
been
wait
sick.
till I DM Tristen later once I finish. I got the whole message typed out. To press enter, just like Kaz's corner. All right, Professor Tristen, let's what you got?
So I was gonna do something a little different this time than just like a move idea. I sort of was wanting to just have a short little discussion and get your guys' thoughts on the state of the meta, because I feel like a lot of people have been complaining about it, and I guess I don't fully understand or see what everyone's frustrated about per se. Like, I know part of it is just the fact that like the December update wasn't very big, so we're in sort of the same meta now for, almost 6 months. So some of it I think is just the meta getting stale, but like, I mean, I feel like it's been for the most part a fairly good like dynamic meta. So like, what
are you talking about? Like,
do you guys think like, because like,
are you talking about play Pokemon like specifically, or?
That's what's unclear to me too. Like, a lot of the people that were complaining they wanted like Corviknight to come in and like shake things up, for example, I couldn't tell if they were more focused on play Pokemon or if they were more focused on GBL. But like, I guess just like, what are your guys' thoughts in general, like for both or either?
Well, I think the problem is right now, I feel like we've settled into a groove where the meta changes either like so for last year's, play Pokemon season, or like a year ago, right? What they did was going into the December update, they really shook things up with the Scald buff, the Medicham, like Ultra Nerf, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it really shifted the meta. But then it didn't really change for another 9 months, right? It didn't really change until after Worlds. So it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of sporadic when, like, obviously it seems like, at least for the last couple of years, every like starting of the season, like September 1st or whatever, around that time, they have a big meta shakeup, right? It's right after Worlds, whole new season of the Championship Series. Let's shake things up. Totally fine. I understand that. And honestly, I think that's refreshing. But I think my personal gripe is it sometimes, once in a while, they're good about it, right? Like that last season where they, right after 3 months of the Gligar, Medicham, Lickitung stuff, they heavily nerfed Medicham, right? And they changed things around. So that's nice, right? It's a decent shake up in 3 months. But then sometimes they just kind of make very too small incremental changes to really not diversify too much. And then you're stuck with this meta for 6 to 9 months, and if we're really unlucky, then over a year. Yeah. And I think that's where, like, because every 3 months is a long time, from a game update perspective. Like, out of all the other esports games I play, none of them, like, this is by far like the one that takes the longest to do any meta shifts, which it is what it is, like, but I think even if we're going to wait 3 months, at least make the 3 months worth it, right? Like, actually make some big shakeups, I think, to switch things up if we were still like tired of meta. Me personally, like, I'm probably okay if the meta doesn't change too much. Like, I'm the kind of person that could probably just play the same meta constantly, as long as they, improve the game state and everything and all that other stuff. But I get why some people are kind of tired of seeing the same one.
It does almost seem like people complained about kind of the state of the game so much for so long, expecting some kind of response, some kind of answer to very technical issues. But it's become very obvious that that's not going to change. That's just not a priority. So we kind of have to accept that for what it is. So what else can we, complain about? Well, we know for a fact that they do move changes every 3 months, whether it's a big change or a minor change or whatever. So let's focus on that as our issue. Because Caleb, kind of like you were saying, I do feel like not only is 3 months where it changes like a pretty long gap, but it's also really random whether it's going to be like a big change or a small change. We never really know. Like we anticipate a really big shift like right after Worlds and not like right before. But at the same time, there are other periods throughout the year where they could make significant changes and they kind of choose not to, or maybe they do. Like we don't know a lot of the time the rest of the year. So I think that that's kind of where the frustration comes from, is there's just like not really, there's just no way for us to sort of work within these parameters to, better our experience, I guess. We have to kind of like judge everything as it comes to us, which is almost never with a significant, amount of time to analyze it before we're just thrown into it. And everyone is forced to go into GBL like the same way. There's no way to practice. You just kind of like are forced to have the matchups you have and get the ELO that you get,
Yeah.
Steve, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, I really think it's just boils down to people are a bit bored. It's just been the same thing for a while. If you sort of look at the top Pokemon from each tournament, it's pretty stable. Like everyone's running Azu, everyone's running Drapion, everyone's running Diggersby. It's sort of just getting to that point where we're not seeing the Tonton Batus meta reads that sort of crack things open anymore, because we've sort of settled a little bit. And at the same time, there's a lot of Pokemon that we've sort of moved out a little bit from heavy Mudslap meta, where things could get a little more RPS. It's just like, oh, I landed my superior on your Marowak, GG's. It's not that bad now. We've sort of moved a step past that, which is nice. So I think it comes down to I don't think there's really a problem with the meta. I think that if this was day one of this was a brand new meta that they released, everyone would be happy days. It's a cool meta. It's fun. It's whatever. It's very neutral. It's very fast paced. There's a lot going on. I think people are just bored. And to be honest with you, I kind of am as well. Okay. I'd be down for a shake up, but I'm not going to go out complaining about it or making tweet-longers about how bad the state of the meta is and whatnot, because I understand that I'm just a little bored.
Subtweeting right now with these comments.
But it is what it is. Like, we'll see what happens in 2 weeks' time, and maybe it gets a bit more interesting. Maybe it doesn't.
And it does seem like a lot of, especially the very high-level players, are getting a lot more bored more quickly. As the state of the game, like the kind of essential state of play, remains the same. The base game remains the same. The biggest change we got recently was actually just the 50-second timer, which everyone really loved at first, and now it's just kind of like become the norm. So it's like, when is the next kind of actual mechanical shakeup that we're going to get?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point too, but
there are tiny little changes, obviously, outside of the meta things. Like when Primeape and Annihilape were sort of given Rage Fist before LAIC, that was obviously, a solid meta shift. They were I don't know if they were hoping or if they were expecting more Pecco to sort of be a bit of a meta shift as well, but it obviously never really showed up. Now they've added Corviknight. Corviknight, it made a few placements in, we're going to talk about Merida Regionals in a sec. But it made a few appearances in there, and I guess there's some sort of meta shift that might come around there with more electric types coming to the fold. So, but again, sort of to put the cart before the horse a little bit in terms of talking about Merida, it was very there's a lot of the same neutral bulky picks running around, so it hasn't shifted the meta that much yet. Maybe it does in the next one. Hard to say, but yeah. I think we just need just something to sort of change things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I couldn't tell because it seems like there's a variety of complaints, and I couldn't really focus in on where it's concentrated, because it's I think some people are more frustrated with the GBL meta, for example, versus other people are more frustrated with the play meta. I think more people in terms of the play meta, it does seem I think are more frustrated with the staleness rather than the meta itself, because like Steve said, and I was having this conversation with someone else just recently, I think as far as the meta itself goes, it's actually a pretty good dynamic meta. There's some grass types that have some, polarizing matchups, like a Superior into Kanto Marowak, like Steve said, or a, Superior into a, Mandibuzz or a Talonflame or something, right? There's not no RPS, but there is a lot of dynamic counterplay, right? You have things like Jumpluff and Azumarill that can win certain shielding scenarios against a Shadow Drapion, which is a poison type. You have Shadow Drapion can hit back against ground types with Aqua Tail, and all sorts of other things. Even Diggersby into Azumarill isn't the worst matchup. Diggersby into Feraligatr isn't the worst matchup. There is a Shadow Kanto Marowak can win the 2 shields against Shadow Feraligatr. I do feel like there is a lot of dynamic interplay. I think this is one of the healthier metas from a gameplay standpoint that we've had in a while. Certainly better than what we had at Worlds with the Lantern Skarmory meta. And I was talking with this person. I think that as time passes, people might look back on this meta fondly, like they did with the Trevenant Whaley meta that everyone wishes we could go back to now, but they complained about at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing that is nice about this meta is that it's, like Steve has said, I think it has consolidated a little bit more recently, sort of ever since we got Rage Fist and we got Galarian Corsola. I think the meta has condensed a little bit more, but even so, I feel like the meta is somewhat dynamic in terms of the picks people are using and the team comps and stuff. Whereas we had some metas last season where the same team by different trainers won 3 regionals in a season. Mm-hmm. And we're not really seeing that right now. I think we had Boehm and Nessabethan won with the same team, but other than that, I think all the teams have had at least some variation on them, and so we have seen more variety of eligible Pokemon and some more dynamic shifts. Again, it's condensed a little bit more recently for sure. We've condensed more into that Azumarill, Drapion, Diggersby, Corsola, Annihilate. Usually most teams are having 4 of those, 3 of those at least. But we are still seeing, different variety, and we can talk about that more when we get into Merida as well.
Yep.
Because, there were some teams without Corsola that did well. There were some teams without Annihilate that did well. That sort of thing.
There were teams with Corviknight that did well.
But yeah.
Well, let's transition to that as we're talking about it, because I'm excited to see how this Corviknight team did. Unfortunately, this wasn't streamed, so
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
And just the last thing I want to say before we move over is, I do agree that I think that this meta was quite good in September, and I think that it shifted so much, and it was so fresh with so many new faces that it didn't really necessarily need a big shake-up in December, but I do think we needed a little bit more than what we got, because the December update was so small in terms of the impact it had. I think really the Rage Fist and Corsola releases were the biggest shakeups we've had to the meta since September. Those were bigger than what we got in December. So I think it's fine for them to do smaller tweaking updates, but those updates still need to be a little bit bigger than.
Is that fine though, or should we expect more? Because I feel like, me personally, it's exciting when you see something that's like completely irrelevant suddenly become relevant, like Charge Bug, for example, great example of that, right? And that was actually more so the meta shift than anything else. Obviously, after Community Day, but like after it had a Community Day, like it wasn't like people were using it right away, right? But I also like at a certain point, you're like, dude, this was interesting for maybe the first month, but on month 9 of Charge Bug, Gligar, Skarmory, Lantern matchups, it gets kind of it gets kind of annoying, right? Or it gets kind of old, so, and the freshness of Charge Bug is just not there anymore.
Well, my
right?
point isn't.
So,
my point isn't really like. I don't think it should be like 9 months. Obviously, my point is if you have a good, dynamic, healthy meta, such as what I think we had in September. I think the one last September was pretty good in that regard as well. I think the Whaled and Trevenant meta was good. We've had a few others. But if you have a meta where the gameplay itself is dynamic, I think it's okay to have a smaller update that still adds like at least one or two, solid Pokemon in that sort of mix things up a little bit, but don't like totally like overrun the meta and like totally change it up. I think that's fine, but like what we got in December was just so minuscule it didn't really change anything.
Yeah,
I think you needed something bigger than that.
I'm not saying I disagree with your take that if it's good meta, we don't have to make such big changes, but maybe some like more impactful incremental changes. I just think, and there's no right or wrong answers, but my opinion is I think it should be a big shakeup every 3 months. Because if you think about this, we're like, oh, what's it doesn't have to be that big because this last meta was good for 3 months. Yeah, that is true. But if you don't make a big change this next 3 months, that's half a year of the same meta, And no matter how good of a meta is, people are going to end up complaining, right? Which again, I play other games where like they literally change the meta like every 2 weeks or something, or sometimes even faster than that, like almost as quick as our GB up cup rotations, right? Which, honestly, I don't think is that big of a deal. I think that would be cool too, as long as they know how to balance stuff. And obviously, if something's too overtuned, they hotfix it or they just bounce it for the very next patch 2 weeks later. So it won't be that busted for like that long either way.
But the thing, I guess my counter argument is like, I feel like what we've been seeing in terms of meta development more recently is like, especially after we had a big shakeup in September, is the meta didn't even like fully settle by December.
Yeah.
Because we had different shifts, right? We started off with Feraligatr, Clodsire, and then we had Toxapex, Diggersby. And then at some point in there, Ariados and Malamar got really good.
Isn't that a good thing though? And then Cubone, right? Towards the end. But isn't that a good thing? It's constantly shifting because I don't want it to settle, right? Like I don't want to be like, oh, okay, well let's have this meta that's been settled for 3 months. I was like, well, why? Well, let's switch it up so we can have people constantly trying to chase a new meta.
Oh, right? No, I agree. That's a good thing. But my point is, if the meta hasn't settled, then you don't need as big of a move change because if the meta's still changing,
I personally disagree.
Then you're adding, a few more ingredients in, and then the meta can still change a little.
Yeah.
But the thing is, either way, if after you have that smaller update, then the next one needs to be more substantial. So my point is like, I think September was great, December was underwhelming and should have been at least a little bit more, and then regardless, March needs to be fairly substantial now. And then I think that's a decent ebb and flow.
Well, if
we definitely need more than some of the.
If March isn't substantial, then we have the same meta for Worlds because their Niantic, I don't think is going to change it like 3 months beforehand, or not even 3 months, like 2 months, I guess, before Worlds, a month and a half really before Worlds, right? So I think this hinges a lot on, but again, I kind of want to break this tradition of like every we don't make that big changes after a big change usually, or all the stuff, and we make a big change every year and stuff. Like for me, and again, this is my personal hot take. People don't have to agree with it. Is that the meta should never go on so long that it settles and people start picking up on like the most ideal comps, right, or cores of 4 or 5 Pokemon. I think people should constantly chasing and be like, oh, let's do Clodsire for Alligator. Oh, next week, let's do Toxapex Diggersby, right? Oh, wait, actually, Shadow Cubone's pretty good in this meta. I think that's a sign of a well-built meta that's not straightforward and people are still trying to figure it out. If it ever comes long enough that they figure it out, then that meta should have been changed already, right? At that point, which I think like roughly around the 3-month mark is usually when that happens, actually. So again, that's me personally. That's why I think a big shakeup should happen every 3 months. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's Niantic going to do what they're going to do, but I do think it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
By the way.
I mean, I think that's true too, and I think that would make it more interesting, like watching streams from Play Pokemon for sure.
Who's not tired of watching Zero mirrors?
I think, and the thing too, though, is like obviously, like sometimes how impactful a change is impacted by what else does or doesn't get changed. So like you talked about how like the December one last year was kind of big, like Scald, right? We had like Icy Wind, Poliwrath. I think they buffed Incinerate then.
And
then March was not very much. Right. And then like March was not very much. The thing was in March, Feraligatr got Shadow Claw. The problem was Lantern didn't get nerfed then.
Yeah.
If Lantern had been nerfed in March, that takes Lantern out of the meta, which then makes some other things better, and also gives Shadowclaw Feraligatr the chance to shine sooner. But Shadowclaw Feraligatr didn't. It took off a little bit in June after Spark got nerfed, and then it truly took off in September after Surf got nerfed as well and some other things. So it's like, you know, if they had nerfed Lantern back in March, then Feraligatr would have come in and might have shaken things up more, for example. So it's definitely like a complex ecosystem where different things affect each other.
What I will always remember is at Worlds this past year in Hawaii when we announced the various moveset changes on broadcast, people were more hype about that than the actual matches, right? But like again, why are we waiting a whole year to do that every year when we could just do that every 3 months? That's my take on it. Like I think it's also some people like Tauntaun's tweeted about this before and other people as well. They're like, man, this is just not my meta, right? I hate this meta. It's just not good. And sometimes that's actually true, right? The meta might be more RPS based or more dynamic based, depending on what you're good at. You can excel maybe more in one meta over the other. But at least like if they know that there's going to be a big shakeup every 3 months, then they're like, okay, well, at least I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't have to keep playing this meta, right? If it's good, great. Go to more tournaments. If not, like, you know, just wait it out unless it's like Worlds or something. And then, you know that the next meta will hopefully be better, or at least will be big enough that it could shake things up and you could be more creative. But I feel for the people that really don't dislike a meta, feel like they can't play it well, but they're stuck playing it for 9 months to a year, right? Anyway, again, my hope is that the March update is significant, because if it's not, get ready for some Clodstar Feraligatr Toxic Vigor Speed at Worlds.
I think the last thing is it would be nice to see Niantic be more willing to like more regularly tweak like certain moves. So like if they would be willing to like, because the thing is, once they buff or nerf something, unless it's like so egregious, they don't necessarily seem like they want to change it very often. But like it would be nice if they would be willing to, like they buffed Bubble, now nerf Bubble, take Azumarill out of the meta, and then buff Bubble again a little bit later. You know, buff counter back, bring fighters back, nerf them later. Like some of these, like right now the changes are like semi-permanent, but if they were willing to tweak those things more to bring more things in and out of the meta, I think that would be more interesting. Like, let's rebuff Icicle Spear and Earthquake, bring Wailerin back. Let's rebuff Mudshot, Rockslide, and Earthquake, bring G-Fisk back for maybe 3 to 6 months. And then after that, you can re-nerf some of those moves and let other things come back. You know, same thing with like Wing Attack or Dig, Counter, Psychic, right? You can kind of, instead of it being like these things get nerfed and then they're just not seen again, or not seen again for a long time, nerf them for a little bit, buff them back, bring them back, and you can sort of just have different blends of Pokemon. And then obviously you can, you know, bring up new things out of that are irrelevant before like a Shadow for Alligator. But some of those other things, you can sort of mess with those levers and bring them in and out of the meta as you rotate around what else is viable to get different combinations of what seeing play.
Bring back Lickitung, man. Bring back Lickitung. Bring back Bastion, actually.
Bastion was never there to begin with.
It was on my team. Anyway, interesting discussion for sure. And let us know your takes as well. But speaking of tournaments and meta stuff, we had another tournament this past weekend. Merida, is that how you pronounce it?
I Googled it like a week ago, and the Google spits so many different pronunciations at you that I have no idea. Like it spits out a different one for American English and British English, which for one, I don't understand. Just tell me Mexican English. Like tell me.
Yeah. If as long as my Mexican pronunciation is not failing me here, if it's in Spanish, it should be Merida.
Yeah, that sounds
probably with
like
more rolling on the R, but I can't roll my R's. Anyway, yeah. See, there we go. The Merida regional happened this past weekend, and surprise, Marto Galde does it again. He fights through a pretty long losers bracket. I feel like he got taken out. Who did he get taken out with on earlier in the day? It was like day 1 he got taken out, right?
Yeah, because he came into day 2 at the
he actually
top of the losers bracket.
Interestingly, lost to like the one more Pecco that performed in the tournament.
Really? I'm just looking at his day 2 run, and he had to face 3 of his 7-11 teammates in a row: Richie, Rocha Babyface, and Spartan. Obviously, won all those, and then Marajo 15 he beat in the losers finals. I actually don't know this Marajo person. Have they played in other ones?
That name is unfamiliar to me as well.
What's Dracovis got to say about it? That's a real question. But as I looked that up,
they
too,
won the Mexico City special event last season.
Speaking.
Okay. Well, that's.
Wow. Also, speaking of Dracovis, they finally got all the like LATAM special events added in.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's been a bit, but they're finally in there.
Thanks, Coriander.
Yeah.
So Marto has this season a regional title, a special championship title, and an IC title.
He just has a lot of titles in general too, but yeah. Yeah, so this person, Marajo, did win the special event last season. And then so the Merida, is Merida a special event?
No, regional.
Oh, it's regional. Okay. Regional. Oh, you're saying the other one he won was a special event.
Yeah.
Was it Lima?
Yeah.
Honestly, pretty impressive stuff. Not gonna lie. And then Ashton Ash gets a second place finish. Ashton Ash also, in my opinion, one of the best players in the world. And no surprise, he got this placement. I'm sure he's like, itching for like a first place finish eventually, but I assure you, he gonna hit it faster than I will.
He and Marto actually had like the exact same team except for one Pokemon.
The flyer, Jumpluff.
Yeah, the flyer of choice.
The Mandibuzz. Yeah, looks like the bird lost out on this one, but that is interesting too, because like it wins the head to head. But the thing is, like, one, Fairy Wind Jumpluff is super annoying still for the Mandibuzz. And I think the difference is the Jumpluff seems a lot more flexible into the rest of the team outside of, like, Drapion. Whereas the Mandibuzz is, like, walled off by the Azumarill, right? It still takes a decent amount of damage from close combat from the Annihilape. It loses the Diggersby now that it has Quick Attack. And it's like for Alligator, it's kind of annoying as well because it just gets outpaced. And then if it's not Air Slash, was it Air Slash or Snarl? Do we know?
It was Air Slash.
Okay, Air Slash is definitely better into the Drapion, but yeah, that's honestly, I'm sure those are some great games. I wish we got to see them because they're almost mirror matches, and those are really interesting on how people play it. But
and Spartan did have in the top 4 the Corviknight on his team.
Rocha had it too. Tied.
Yeah, they ran the same team.
They had the same team. Okay.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were 4 Corv Knights that made day 2. 3 of them were run by 3 of the 7-Eleven guys who were running the exact same team.
Oh yeah, that's true, because Iomero had the exact same team as well.
Yeah. The one thing that was really weird to me about their team is they were running Shadow Primeape without close combat. They were running Ice Punch Rage Fist.
Interesting.
On their Shadow Primeape.
Well, you know who they knew was going to be in this tournament that loves to run a grass flyer.
Wasn't enough though.
No, you still beat 2 of them.
Yeah.
But
in a row, no less.
Yeah. But the thing though is I was looking at it, and as the Shadow Primeape without close combat, I think you lose the 0 shield and the 1 shield to Diggersby. So I'm just like, why are you even running? Like, if your fighter's losing to Diggersby, like, why are you even running this?
Well, also the other problem is you end up losing to like a lot of the other stuff on the team, like the Annihilate as well, right? The post Annihilate. Man, should I be running Shadow Annihilate instead of the regular? Because top 3 all had Shadow Annihilate, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know.
I think there's trade-offs. I was listening, I think it was like 1 or 2 episodes ago, Speedy and Zweilous' podcast, and Zweilous was saying that like Shadow Annihilate, like on paper, doesn't always look as good, but it can do some nutty things. Like I think against like a Charjabug or a Talonflame, if it like lands a Rage Fist, then it can like 2 shield and like counter through them or something. So it can be like hard for people to deal with and can like force switch against certain Pokemon that the regular can't. So I don't know. You definitely would have to like look into the matchups more. It's obviously that's pretty shield dependent, right? You need to burn 2 shields, but like the fact that something like a Charjabug or a Talonflame, I think it was, that normally you would think of as being like good anti-fighters, the fact that it can like just land a Rage Fist, which like no one wants to shield the first Rage Fist, right? And then after that, you just double shield and counter through because you're a Shadow. Like that's kind of crazy, actually. Yeah. But again, it does sort of force you into a certain play style in certain matchups. So
I mean, the stab.
I don't think there's like a clear
stab bonus that Rage Fist gets on the Annihilate is very nice compared to the Primeape.
Right. Well, and counter just does more damage in general. Then once you boost that, it does even more damage, right? Like Primeape isn't really fast moving down a lot of stuff, but with the shadow bonus from the Annihilate and the counter damage and the boost from the Rage Fist, like it starts to add up for sure.
I will say there is actually one other difference from like Marto's team and like Ash and Ash and along these Annihilate lines, in that Ash and Ash and both of the second and third ran Rage Fist Ice Punch. Marto actually ran Rage Fist Close Combat on his Annihilate. So does actually look really good into like Ash and Ash's team actually in general, because you've got I mean obviously massive damage to Diggersby, Drapion, Gator doesn't love it. Even Mandibuzz takes a lot of damage from a Shadow Close Combat, especially if you've already thrown a Rage Fist at some point. Like it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, but I guess like for Marcho's fly purposes, like the Ice Punch is actually better, so it's actually not too bad that he had Ice Punch on it, for at least against Marcho's comp. But yeah,
right. Yeah, it definitely is interesting that there seems to be more moveset decisions on it, whereas like at first people were just always running close combat, but now there seems to be more Ice Punch popping up. And even Ice Punch Shadow Primeapes, apparently, which I don't fully understand, but it's interesting that there's a little more variety in the movesets, at least, which obviously you're not going to see by just looking at the Dracoviz graphic, because you're like, oh, all these people are running Annihilate, or all these people are running Primeape, and it's like, it is the same Pokemon, but it is functioning a little bit differently with different movesets.
Man, there's a lot of depth and complexity in this game.
Yeah, just give it another 6 months of the same meta, and then we'll ask that question again.
Yeah, March comes around and they're like, "Joke's on y'all, we're not updating anything."
This guy's running close combat Ice Punch Annihilate, but at this point he's bored. He's got to try something else.
And just running different moves for fun at this point.
I think. Night Slash.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna go back to
Night
Night
Slash
Slash Primeape.
Yeah, screw the Rage Twist boost. I'm going for that double boost. But
I think the biggest story in my mind, besides the 4 Core of Knights making top cut, is the Chargebug turnout.
Yeah.
Chargebug hasn't really been seen in this meta.
It's like on every team with a Corviknight, though. Minus Arceus's team. Yeah.
True, but there was a few others as well. Yeah, it was tied for 7th in day 2 usage. So really popping up there.
Honestly,
I think
it looks pretty strong if you look into
kind of
teams.
a good role
outside of like Diggersby. It like has played.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right? Yeah, it's got pretty good roll compression, right? Because it's good into the Azumarill and the Drapion. Also covers the Corviknight if you're worried about that.
For Alligator.
And it's decent into the fighters as well. Yeah, the Gator for sure. So good roll compression, and it definitely, the Diggersby matchup isn't good for it, but it's not as bad as when Clodsire was the main ground type around as well.
And also, it's like if you avoid that matchup, you're fine,
matchup too,
because you have good play into everything else.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, good Dugong as well. Yeah. So yeah, it has a lot of play here for sure. So it'll be interesting to see if this is like.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It'll be interesting to see if it's like a one-off like Latium thing, right? Because Latium does tend to run a slightly different meta sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see if Chargebug is sort of like a one-off like Latium development, or if we see that popping up at like Puerto Rico this weekend and EUIC next week.
Yeah, I don't even think so too, because Arceus Aurelius also had it. Obviously, he's not Latium, right? So, so I think like there's definitely people like exploring that, and I don't know what the real counter to it is outside of Diggersby and a ground type, right? Outside of that, like it looks pretty strong. Clotsire obviously was pretty annoying for you, but once you avoid that matchup, it's actually not too bad. So, curious to see how it goes.
And Arceus Aurelius' team was interesting too because, it's fairly meta Pokemon overall, but like he's missing a couple of like the most used things. He had no Azumarill, no Corsola, no Annihilape, and no Diggersby on his team. I wouldn't say it's an off-meta team because everything on there is fairly meta besides the Chargebug. He ran Dugong, Shadow Kanto Marowak, Shadow Feraligatr, Shadow Drapion, Mandibuzz, and Chargebug, but it doesn't have some of those highest usage mons, and he still did fairly well.
Dunsparce would have had a field day against that team, but there's no Dunsparce around. Like, not a single Dunsparce made top 16. Oh, no, besides Marajo. Oh, you know what? That's who Arceus Aurelius lost to right off the bat. So makes sense. It makes sense. Not saying that was why, but yeah. I mean, outside the Cubone or outside the Marowak, you have no play into it. You have what, like 4 losing matchups and a 5th that's like pretty neutral and favorable for Dunsparce. That's kind of nutty, honestly. But okay.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to make a meta call and just be like, I'm going to be weak to something that I don't expect to see very much, and just hope that you don't face it, or if you do face it, you don't see it till day 2 or late in day 2. And I think that wasn't a bad meta call by Arceus.
That was my plan in Fresno against Alolan Sandslash. Anyway, speaking of other regionals, well, again, congrats to Marto Galde, and we have some others coming up. Registration for Atlanta went live yesterday.
Woo!
Everyone get their tickets.
Already in, baby.
Yeah.
Ready.
Wait, how many total participants?
Oh, I don't know.
You can see on the Arcanine. That's right.
Why are you not registered?
No, she is, but she just doesn't know like the current amount.
I just don't know. Yeah.
No, I said, why is Caleb not registered?
Oh, I mean, I got time. Why is Steve not registered is a real question.
Oh, man. Gotta debut my Slowpoke onesie somewhere.
Great time, yeah. Especially if Jen's in the area, right? Can meet the Slowpoke herself, yeah. Anyway.
Battlecast recording in Atlanta live.
Yeah, I can probably
how do you see how many participants there are?
So if you go to Arcanine, then if you go to like your registered tournaments, it should say how many are there.
Yeah, it says 76.
Yeah, 76.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not bad. Still plenty of time too. It's not bad. I would definitely be there. So don't anyone worry. Okay. We'll do the community bet next week. Let's talk about the tea topic. You want to take this, Tristan? Because I think you're the one that posted it.
Sure. It kind of ties into our Merida discussion of Marto winning yet again. And hold on, I'm just pulling up the tweet so that I can phrase this correctly.
Yeah, so obviously Marto won, posted about it, posted about his leaderboard on the championship points. So he has 2,000. Second closest is Colin 6 with 1672. That's crazy. Marto's like, he's about cap out. If he wins EUIC, it's over. Because I don't even think he really does locals, right? But that's like, well, honestly, it's probably over even if he does win EUIC. Yeah. But
well, it's like it's only top 4 tournaments count, right? Which means
I thought it was top 4. Oh, I thought it was top
5.
It's 5.
He's already rocking 2 first places at regional level, and then a first place at IC level. It's pretty crazy.
Oh my god!
So it was originally announced as 6, and then before the season started, maybe a month later or something, they announced that it was being dropped down to 5.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So it's your best 5 regionals and ICs combined, which makes his 2,000 even more impressive. I know Dunebug got 4 is for locals.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 5 for So anyway, what were we saying?
So the best finish limits is 4 challenges, 4 cups, and then 5 is a combined regional and IC number.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Dunebug got I think well over 2,000 championship points last year, which was also very impressive. But you have to keep in mind that last season you could count 6 regionals and then also could count 3 ICs.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like that best finish limit was 9, whereas this season it's 5. So it's not going to be possible to get as high of a CP total this year compared to what you could get last year.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Marto, before any tournament started this season, Marto had a guaranteed invite for Worlds because he finished top 4 at Worlds in Hawaii. And then he won the special event, which basically got him another auto invite. And again, these don't pass down. Then he won LAIC and he won Merida. So he's sort of, quote unquote, taken 3 auto invites. Anyways, on Twitter/X, Snowman replied to Marto's tweet about his leaderboard placement and said, "Bro, don't come to EUIC to steal spots from us Europeans, lol." And so there was a bit of a discussion here with Mikey Morgs chiming in and saying it's not stealing if it's earned. And then Snowman replied, "That's not how stealing works," and basically a discussion about is it stealing, that sort of a thing. I think Yakovovich also chimed in and just said, "Get good then," which I think is a very valid point. And I think Snowman was partially joking, but also partially serious. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what do you guys think? Personally, I feel first of all, you have to earn the spot, right? And to earn that, you have to finish top 4 and beat the best of the best. And I think that also, I don't really like this mentality that it's stealing spots from Europeans, because the spots are really up for grab for whoever finishes top 4, whether that be a European, whether that be Marto, someone from LATAM, someone from Oceania, someone from NA. They're not European spots. They're just spots to whoever finishes top 4, and anyone who's competing has a shot at those spots, and whoever finishes top 4 earns them. And I also don't love this mentality of oh, he shouldn't be competing because he's already qualified for Worlds, because it's first of all, he might have personal goals. You know, he might want to be the first person to have 2 IC titles and be the first person to have 2 back-to-back IC titles. And I know he also, you know, wants to get the NAIC Travel Award. So doing well at UIC could get him the points to get that NAIC Travel Award. And so, I don't know. That's sort of where I'm at. What do you guys think?
Dude, steal away, man. Steal away. If they can't win a guaranteed placement on their own soil, then you earned it.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you want to qualify and go to Worlds, like, you have to be able to compete with the best of the best anyway. So if you can't even manage to do that on like a different stage, why do you think it's going to be any different when you get to the Worlds level competition? But also, like, I mean, I know that there's the whole auto qualify by like winning the ICs, winning the regionals, that sort of thing. But I mean, each sort of region has their own sort of like list as well of like top points that get to go. So I mean, there's also still a decent amount of Europeans who are going to have the top amount of points in their region and get in based on that list, right? So
well, the logic that we didn't really talk about here is that, like, the point is, like, anytime someone gets another auto invitation, it reduces the amount of people going to Worlds by 1, right? So when Marto wins Lima, if another Latin American battler won Lima, they would get an auto invite, and the Latin American number of qualified, you know, it goes down the list by 1. So I don't remember the Latin American number, but the US is 75, right? So if a US wins a tournament, then number 76.
US is 75. Latin and Europe are both 50.
Right, okay. So, like, you know.
Latin and Europe are both 50, and then Oceania is 10, right?
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So it's... there is logic there in it, sort of reducing the pool of people coming from a certain region. But this is sort of a topic of conversation that came up last season in Australia because, Jakobovic, we only had 3 regionals. We only had 3 auto invites sort of sitting there possible. And then everything else was based on championship points. And Jacko won 2 regionals in a row. And he was playing against Stumpy 2517 in the grand finals of his second one, I believe. And so it was like, well, who's playing against Triple Crit? And so it was like, okay, well, if Triple Crit won this grand finals, then he would qualify for Worlds. If Yakko wins this grand finals, then, we've kind of lost an invite. And there was a lot of discussion there. And, Yakko really sort of, sat and pondered it for a while, even before registering for the tournament. And the Australian community really came in hard on, it's cool, man. Like, go for it. Win. Like, win it. Go for it, dude. It's awesome. And part of that, I think, is because we were under a different system. So under the championship point system, and because we had a rightfully easier championship point bar because we only had 3 tournaments, Triple Crit was able to go ahead and qualify for Worlds by farming up locals anyway. So it kind of worked out okay in that system. This system obviously is a little bit more punishing because it does reduce the number of, qualifiers, which sort of depends how much it impacts you based on the size of the region. I think that, like, in Oceania, if someone were to win all 3 regionals, that's a massive hit to Oceania, right? Like, that goes from, and just assume that everyone wins into region. There's not a lot of people coming into Oceania to compete outside of Oceania, but that possibly brings us from like 13 competitors to 11. So, which is, percentage wise a bigger thing than in Latin America or such. And so the argument is kind of just along the lines of, Marto's picked up 4 invites, which if you just assume that people win inside region, which isn't a perfect assumption, obviously, then the pool has sort of gone from, however many, I don't know how many regionals are. I want to say there's 9. So maybe it goes from like, well, I guess plus Marto from Worlds, maybe a possible 60 battlers, and it's currently at like 56 or something like that. So that's the argument in a nutshell. Yeah. But I'm
Where do
also
you stand on the argument. Okay.
Yeah, I'm also of the opinion of like, heck yeah, dude, do it. Like, crush these things. Like,
if you had
is it awesome, but it's also like, you want to win, right? Like, you want to get cash money. If you want to do this like some sort of full time, then like,
yeah, because it's not just the World's invite that like is at stake. There are other things that come from the winning.
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of money.
Just like,
hey, and maybe Marto Maybe Marto's trying to reduce the number of players he has to go through at Worlds.
That's true.
Every tournament
He's helping everyone that's qualified for
at
Worlds.
Worlds that makes that World Championship easier.
I think also like at the end of the day, if you can't qualify through it with the current system, right? Because someone's taking an invite and you have to be like that person at the very cusp that doesn't get the invite because one, the guarantee invites didn't go to someone from your region, but from someone from a different region. Like, spend more time worrying about how to improve your gameplay, right? Then worry about who's stealing it. If you put the same amount of energy into that, I guarantee you could get those few spots needed to qualify for Worlds. It's this is
right, or spend more time, team building, scrimming, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Also, like, I mean, okay, especially like for Oceania, I get it, right? Because very limited spots compared to all other regions outside like APAC, right? That's even more limited. Wouldn't you want the person representing your region to be the person that won all 3 regionals in your region? Like, they have the best shot of bringing that world trophy to your region, Because if you have it all spread out and stuff like that and everyone's beating everyone, I don't know. It's not to say you can't win Worlds, but your odds of winning Worlds are definitely a little less than putting in that like kind of like super soldier Aussie, super soldier New Zealander to win it all. That's just my take, But
I mean, there's also other bragging rights, like seeing some people might want to be number 1 on the leaderboard or top whatever on the leaderboard, and like Kaz said, there's cash prizes for finishing first or getting high placements. There's Pokemon cards, and again CP for travel awards. There's lots of other incentives for doing well. Both monetary and physical items, as well as sort of personal accolades and bragging rights and stuff like that could be motivating people to do well. So I feel like it's the system that we have, and everyone should be entitled to compete in whatever tournaments they're able to and want to attend, and everyone should be trying to do their best, and you see how the cards shake out, and that's the hand you're dealt, and that's where we're at. Like, if Marto wins all 3 ICs and wins a bunch of other regionals, like, sure, he's maybe eliminating, maybe he wins some NA regionals and he wins NAIC and EUIC and all this stuff. Like, yeah, sure, like each of the regions is getting a few less spots, but it is what it is, and that's who goes to Worlds, and I don't think there should be a big fuss about it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a right to compete how they want to compete.
Yeah,
it's just.
Well, and I didn't see anyone making a fuss that like Nessa Beethan won a LATAM special event and stole an invite off of LATAM.
True. So those are the same people they're probably celebrating when he got it.
He deserves it. And...
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess Nessa Beethan already quote unquote stole an invite from LATAM. So if Marto wins EUIC, it evens out, right? Like, I don't really see what the big fuss is.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, again, I think if you're that concerned about this, just spend more time studying Marto's game, right? And some of these top players' game, and then you won't have to worry about your Worlds invite. I mean, obviously, like qualifying Worlds is not like an easy feat by any means, too. But I think it's definitely something that you can definitely work towards. Honestly, the hardest region is still APAC, right? Even Oceania with 10 spots plus the regional guaranteed and the internationals guaranteed spots, it's not easy, but it's still, it gives you a lot of room for error and it's still pretty forgiving. APAC is not forgiving at all. No. We had one player from Hong Kong go to Worlds last year and he won it all. The odds are always stacked against him, but it's not impossible, right? Honestly, obviously in the one region, 2 regions missing is LATAM and Oceania. So maybe you do need that super soldier, to have a chance.
Well, if Jacko didn't go and have a kid, then it's ridiculous. We're taking our big players off
How
the
dare
sideline.
he?
Valiant Bish had a kid as well.
In the future, it's just like it's just like all these superhero films, right? There's a reboot every couple of years, so you're gonna go through its own reboot in a few years for sure.
Steve, they're thinking of the long term. They're trying to grow the Australian player base.
They're sacrificing their prime so that they can raise children that can surpass even their prime.
Yeah, it's a shame we've got to wait till 2038 till they're legally able to compete.
It's fine. At that point, I'll be wearing like double thick like reading glasses while commentating. Anyway, that does it for the tea topic. I think it's an interesting discussion for sure. Let's take a gander at our YouTube comments, and then we could probably wrap it up from there. I do think that we got maybe at least one comment on our Podbean.
I gotta hop off
right now.
So do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to end the recording and you guys just cover that comments?
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we'll end it real quick. After I go. We lost both Twastell and Steve. Steve's like, yeah, I hate our viewers and listeners too, so I'm good.
Tristen was really upset that someone insulted his computer, so he decided to go console his laptop.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, to cover some of the recent comments, there's some from Jen as well.
Over on Podbean.
On Podbean, but I'm not fully sure what some of these reference at this point. But
let me elaborate because I feel like they're directed at me.
Okay. On the Bastion, it's not always about you. Come on now. All right. On the Bastion and Wilmer cosplay episode, she says, "Accept the screenshots of comments." What's that mean? Decipher for us.
I don't know what that means.
Translator.
I don't know what that means.
You came in real confident here. It's like me every week at Kaz's Corner.
It must be referencing something that we said about like how many comments there were or were not. I don't know. Or maybe it's because wasn't that around the time that you realized for the first time that Jen had been leaving comments on Podbean and you had not been reading any of them?
Some of that, yeah. But well, let's continue. On the same episode, I said I did watch YouTube the first half of this episode, then switch back. Very nice costume, Steve/Josh. This is where she just wrote the same person twice. It's and then she writes in the 9 Take a Listen episode, Rickety. It's the exclamation mark. A chickadee is a? What does that even mean?
Wait, what?
It says rookity. It's the exclamation mark. And then in parentheses, a chickadee is a. Just really testing your understanding of Jen.
Well, I feel like she might be making a reference to and this is a deep inside joke between the two of us, but so rookity is like based on a British, European bird, and I swear that this is its real name. I'm not making this up. It's called a great tit.
Say it again?
No, I'm not. I refuse.
It's a bird?
It's a bird. It's a very real bird.
That sounds like a whole sentence. That does sound like the name.
And it comes from the same family as the chickadees that we get here in the U.S. And something that chickadees do.
How do you spell it? Because it's like, is this
Chick,
like
CHICK?
No, I know how to spell chickadee. I meant the other bird. How do you spell the other bird's name?
You know how to spell it.
I don't know if it's like,
it's the word great and then it's TIT. That's literally it. Look it up.
Great, not a great.
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay. I put a great. That's why.
Okay. Yeah. So, and they're
interesting. Wow, there's even a space here too. It's space.
Yeah. So it comes from the same family as chickadees, and chickadees, what they do is their call includes like they're kind of saying their name, like chickadee, dee, 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 dee. And then the more D's are on the end, the more aggravated the bird is. So we say that to each other all the time. K-pop like, how many D's are you? Yeah. How many D's are you today?
How many D's are you today?
Yeah. How aggravated.
What does that do with the other bird again?
Just because they're like from similar families. Like. So I feel like that's maybe what she's referencing, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry, Jen! Sorry. She's gonna leave a slew of more comments that are commenting on mine.
Don't apologize yet, because you might have more to apologize for. The very following comment on that episode, she just writes capitalized T space L space lowercase t. It's possible that that's just an I, a capitalized I in the middle.
I think that is
capitalized I T.
Yeah, she's saying the name of the bird that it's based on, which is a tit.
Learned a lot today.
The people who named birds they did not have very far-reaching goals in terms of originality. I've had to send messages like that to several people. Like, I swear the name that I'm about to tell you of this bird is real. I did not make it up.
Okay, so here's what I just did while you're talking about this. I downloaded a picture of the bird, and I sent it to someone, and they responded, "Is this your favorite bird?" And I said, "Great tit."
No.
And they said, "Wow."
I've enabled something terrible today.
I responded with, "Do you know about it?"
I've started something terrible today, and I apologize to the whole world now at this
Apologize to the whole world? What you mean? This is the bird's name. It's, you can... Oh, where is that? What's it called? What's the origin of names? What's that?
Or a slew more people will become more interested in birds because of this revelation.
Yeah, it's in the tit family, Paraday.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, because then that means that so the tits, chickadees or titmice constitute the Paraday.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So Rookadee's name comes from a combination of rook, which is also a bird, like it's another name from the corvid family, and idee, which is like the end of chickadee, which is the one that we get.
Jen knows. TIT. I hear you. All right, Jen also continues in the following episode. Tristen, I've experienced location switching too. I was trading Detroit Mons, and after a work trip, and some changed location to Windsor, Canada. That's really random.
That's true. No, because it's right across the river. I have family in Detroit that I visit sometimes, and that happens to me whenever I catch Pokemon there. Like, they'll have the location card of Canada instead of, like, Detroit, Michigan. And I'm like, but it's over the river with the... I'm not...
Okay, and then regarding Nosepass, yes, when I noticed this, I immediately went to our PokeFriends group chat, including Kaz, to report Nosepass points north on the map in Pokemon Go. When did Jen report on this? Was it like recent or like?
Oh no, this was many years ago.
Oh, is that when you learned about it, or you already knew before that?
I'm not sure. I feel like it's something that we all kind of noticed. I feel like it was related to a Nosepass spotlight hour that we had, perhaps. Yeah. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was something that she shared, and we were all like collectively excited about it. Like, that's a cool detail.
Yeah. Oh, I have an update too on the bird situation.
Oh God.
I said, "Do you know about it?" And they respond, "I mean, I've heard jokes." I said, "No, I mean the bird." And they said, "No, ... question mark." I said, "It's the name of the bird." I said, "Well, yeah, I mean, I know that." What? How do you just know that? I didn't.
Some people, it's a fairly common bird across Europe, Caleb. Come on.
And if it's not, we educating people today. Jen continues, "Who is Josh Conspiracy? It's Debbie Pebbles."
It's true. It's true. It's gonna be like that song from the Marvel show. It's like, it was Debbie all along.
Yeah. Speaking of backstory too, my friend responds, "You make it seem like there's some wild backstory." I was like, "What do you mean?" Acting like this is a common bird.
It's like you're trying to suss out whether people are in on the joke.
Is it a joke? It's real.
I mean, it's a real bird, but people treat it like a joke because of the name and the implications of the name.
I got you.
I feel like Caleb, you might be disappointed to learn that you're the last one onto this boat.
No, there's no way. There's no way I'm the last person to realize this is a bird. Anyway, Jay continues. Isn't Cerebi pronounced Sarah B, like Celebi? Possibly. Did someone not pronounce it Cerebi? I usually call it Cerebi.
I think I've said Cerebi. Like I've heard it pronounced that way, but like I don't know which one is right. I don't know if Celebi is technically Celebi or if it's Celebi or something. No idea.
Hold on. You're not only going to say Cerebi, Rob, but you're also going to change the pronunciation of Celebi to fit your pronunciation of Cerebi.
Maybe it's supposed to rhyme with celery. We don't know. It is a grass type.
Well, yeah, if it's Celebi, then if it's supposed to rhyme with celery, then it is supposed to be Celebi, which means it should be Cerebi.
No, see, now you're doing it.
What do you mean? It's Cerebi. What's the correct pronunciation?
I have no idea.
You said Cerebi, right?
Please, commenters, Jen included, help us.
Kaz doesn't know how to dig herself out of the hole she's in.
I don't. I just
someone throw me a rope.
I'd never know for sure about any Pokemon pronunciations. Like it's always just sort of a 75% chance that I'm wrong.
I won't know 100% once Celebi becomes meta relevant in PvP.
It's true. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Is we have to hear.
Production's going to make sure that
the production commentary.
Yeah, they'll be like, it's Mantine, not Mantine, or it's whatever.
I will never accept Drapion. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, Drapion, Tropius.
Tropius?
No, it's Tropius.
I know what it's supposed to be, and I refuse.
We're learning a lot these days, I'm learning about birds. Kaz learning about pronunciations. It's great. Mm-hmm. Jen continues. No. With Steve/Josh, Kaz and Caleb are going to be disappointed. I think non-shiny is locked in those awaiting Scatterbug encounters. This is regarding to the last season. I didn't go hard collecting global friends during the Scatterbug intro for nothing. Got candies ready for shinies.
She's saying that she thinks that we're wrong. That the shinies are not.
When's that event go live?
If you have, I think it's the 18th.
Okay.
I think
I'm gonna do it on the episode. I'm gonna pull it up on the episode.
I think she's saying that if you have the encounter loaded but not
clicked on,
because here's the thing. In order to have it saved, and I do think that now that I'm thinking about it in those terms, I do think she might be right. Because you do automatically get the Scatterbug encounter, you have to run from it in order to have it stored. So therefore, it's not going to be shiny because you've already encountered it. It's like if you check something from a research task and then you run from it, it's still stacked in the research as whatever it was. It's not like it has any more of a chance of being a shiny.
Yeah.
She is right about that. Me and Josh are going to be disappointed.
Okay. Moving forward as well. Did you tell them about my Miltank? What's up with Jen's Miltank?
Oh, she's referencing her Miltank costume. It's
Wait, I think you showed a picture, right?
I sent you guys a photo in our chat, and I said that the Miltank was Jen, but I don't think really you realized how lewd the costume was. She had balloons. She had balloon udders that were underneath her clothes that she had poked out to have actual udders Miltank does
it's
when it dances.
Tide.
Yeah.
Wait.
Balloons with air in them.
Why is that lewd?
Because of the way that their udders are waving at you.
I don't know what's happening here, but
It's so gross.
Jen sounds
so
like
terrible.
a fun time.
She is very much a fun time.
Yeah, and then afterwards she just says, "I am very excited." I think probably about the Atlanta regional, if I were to guess. It's either that or she's excited I got hacked. So it's one or the other.
Yeah, I don't know. I do have one friend who has confirmed that they're gonna try to come down. I haven't heard from Jen about it, but hopefully she also will be there.
Yeah. We'll see you there. Okay, and then going back to some comments from our episodes, June Ho says, she's first Pogo Milo UK, now Caleb. Who's the next Pogo tuber to be hacked? Oh, I know Milo UK as well, too. He's one of the hosts for the Incense podcast, and I've been on that one and listened to it from time to time as well. So, unfortunately, he got hacked as well. Hopefully, he got all his stuff back. But yes, I've fallen victim. And I don't know if I told you all this, but I said in my YouTube video, right after I got hacked, I went live again with another crypto stream like 2 days later because I didn't realize it, but they didn't still have access to my account, but they set another account to be manager of my account so they could stream and post content from wherever. So I had to go back to my permissions to delete them as a manager and then delete like they made certain people mods as well. I deleted them as mods. Yeah.
Oh wow, jeez.
Yeah, so kind of complicated, but anyway, in our most recent episode, Infamous Match says Squirrel Trapper's Revenge. That's so true.
And then who is Josh is like, Trapper has played the long game on this one. #, miss the Trapper. # Trapper Cybro scam.
Yeah. Squirrel Trapper doing more than Hawk2 doing with these crypto scams these days.
Oh my gosh.
If Smash writes another comment, it's not like Pokemon Company doesn't know about Show 6 competitive scene. What's stopping them from trying to bridge the gap between casual to competitor like the other games have regionals? I personally think Campfire is where they should set up official Show 6 online matches like Battle Tuesdays or something. 5 points for a win once a week would be nice. Card shops have no interest in setting up matches for a game they can't profit off of. I don't know. Something needs to change. Yeah, I think those are really good points. I think well, it would have to rely on Niantic, unfortunately. The Pokemon Company probably just doesn't have the power to do the Show 6 stuff, but I assume that's probably what Smash means. But yeah, I don't know. I think my guess is that a lot of it just takes resources and manpower to do, and they probably just have the people working on PvP doing other stuff, right? Or putting out other fires within PvP because we get all these other state of game issues and stuff that needs to be fixed. And me personally, I've my take's always been like, hey, like those things are probably going to always exist. Why not work on other features to make the game more different, exciting, in depth, stuff like that while these things are going on? Because but who knows how much manpower it takes to even just maintain the regular ecosystem at PvP and all that stuff. But that's my guess, right? I think like if they have unlimited staff and time in the world, then and someone offered to make this project for them like overnight, they'll probably take it, right? But I think that's my guess. I don't know, but I do think that capitalizing on Campfire is a really smart strategy because a lot of newer players are using Campfire. A lot of my locals use Campfire, and they're not really PvP people, but they play casual stuff. And if you had more events on Campfire, all this stuff, like they go out to every freaking event. Those upcoming save the dates, I guarantee you they'll be at all of them. Raid Day, Hatch Day, Battle Day, Max Battle Day, all that stuff. So
yeah,
I think it's a really great way to tap in.
Everyone kind of has to with Campfire now. I feel like in terms of like coordinating for some of these higher level like Dynamax and Gigantamax things, like no one really uses Discord anymore for that. Like a lot of the like sort of PvE players have fully transitioned over. And I mean for good reason because there are actual like incentives. You go to Campfire, you check into an event with a person, and they can give you a code to get stuff. So I mean, if they implemented something that helped us to incorporate battling, because I know that a lot of the locals that I go to around Atlanta are also like Campfire events that we can check into and get codes from. So they're already trying to do it, but if it were like kind of another aspect to that app in general of like, hey, I'm looking to battle like in this upcoming regional, like someone practice Show 6 with me or whatever. It could be a really interesting make a really interesting difference in the ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely. Infamous, or sorry, yeah. So that was Infamous Smash's comments. Thank you for the comments. Bishop Zanya says Tristan's PC so old it's signed by Jesus. Holy moly! Can we get a GoFundMe for him? Anyway, can't wait for episode 200. Been here since day one. Much love, guys. Hey, appreciate you too, Bishop Lasagna. From all the way from them changing your name on stream when me and Annika were talking about you, and obviously all the comments throughout the years. Well, hopefully this episode sounds a lot better because Tristan did get a Ethernet cable for his PC and everything too. I will say, right, regardless of how frustrating some of the delays are maybe and stuff, right, all that stuff and disconnects, Tristan put in the work to just make sure everything's as good as possible, you know.
Yeah.
Outside of actually like going to Spectrum and trying to ask them directly what's going on.
Yeah, so if you want to talk to anyone, like email Spectrum right now and be like, hey, yeah, I need you to fix the connection for this one person, please.
Yeah, I'm hoping whatever he did today wasn't just like a anomaly, like, oh, the internet just happened to be good, but I hope that the Ethernet cable.
No, I mean, he had the cable. I think that makes a huge difference.
Oh, for sure. I'm just saying, like, there also is a small chance coincidence that, like, it just worked better, right? Because, you know.
No, right. I believe that we have made an adjustment.
I hope so too.
And it's gonna hold.
I want to believe. Eighth Grade says this might be a hot take, but I think we should at least try to make accessible teams for new players looking to get into PvP. Yeah, they might not have shadows, premium IVs, XLs, but there are teams that are comprised of non-XL, non-shadow Pokemon that are good enough to play. Don't have Shadow Gator or Zimro, regular Gator, Quagsire, Toxapex, Speedbro, Gastrodon, Greninja, and Gliscod exist for water types. Don't have Diggersby, Dunsparce, Clodsire, Gastrodon, Unova Stunfisk, Quagsire exists. New players don't need hard meta to get started with Show 6. They have bigger issues to deal with other than fielding a team. Proper timing, line composition, managing switch lock, energy management, and other things that can be learned by playing. Let them play and decide if they want to keep going. Is hard meta currently inaccessible? Yes, but I wouldn't let that stop new players from trying to compete if they really want to. Also, regarding the lucky trade thing, I feel like it's almost always guaranteed to be the worst option, which would be 35 lucky Pokemon, period. Also, lucky trades are guaranteed lucky, which means most of us old timers have probably hit it. Almost always guaranteed to be the worst option, which is 35. Okay, well, I guess once that event starts, we can see, right, if that's the case or not. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I'm right and 8th grade's wrong. I'm sure 8th grade wants to be wrong about that too. Also about the non-locals talking about Unova Tour, I don't know why people be morally ground standing on things they have zero idea about. At least say it as a question, like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but like, could people displaced by fires use the rooms? Then people can tell you what's happening instead of having to triple down on a terrible take. I get a triple downing for memes with friends, but this ain't it. Yeah, those guys triple downing were not we're definitely not joking around. I think they're definitely on some trying to go on some moral high ground, but it is what it is.
Going to the first part of 8th grade's comment, like, yeah, I do wish, because I know that like the other games at the regional events, like for TCG and for VGC, like they have kind of side events that are aimed at introducing you to how competitive play works. You know, like, oh, here's a Switch console that has a team loaded up for you to use, or like, here's a starter deck for you to use, or whatever. I really wish it were possible for Go to have something like that. Because we know for a fact that there are already a ton of like Go spectators and players that aren't PvP people that very well could be if they had like a better chance to learn. And there's just like not an opportunity to really do that in Go. Like I can show someone my phone and I can like maybe even give someone my phone to like play an experiment, you know, with what I have. But to give them sort of like just a way to learn like at an event with other people would be amazing.
I think also we have all these Twitch drops and stuff for internationals, worlds, and we get like the winner's team or one Pokemon on their team, and it's so useless. It's because like not only is it because the IVs aren't like PvP relevant, which is not the end of the world, but it's not double moved, it's not powered up. And some of these Pokemon that are XLs, you can't even power up if you want to. You know, like let's say if it's like a Diggersby or something, right? Someone wins with Diggersby, you get their Diggersby, right? Or like Emmy Weedle's UIC Diggersby, right? Let's say if that's the case. You put the Digger Speed on your team, and it's the IV spread is really weird, and it doesn't have enough stats, you literally can't even power up to 1500 for some of these spreads. Yeah. So you're literally giving out an XL PvP Pokemon that they can't even physically use to full potential, right? Not only, but on top of that, they also need all the XLs and starters to do it. What I know, like, I'm sure there's probably some red tape here and whatever, but I know that because they do it for VGC, they should be able to do it for Pokemon Go as well, right? So it's not, at least my guess. I don't know. I don't speak for the Pokemon company, right? But my guess is that from a consistency standpoint, if the Pokemon company doesn't care if VGC players get, like, whatever, Andre Silva or whatever, like their VGC team from EUIC or NIC, whatever, and they get the full team with the full, like, everything, then why can't they do that for Go, right? When, Marto Galde won LASC, why can't we get exactly his jump bluff that he used, and his Malamar?
Also, like, why can't we have a side event where you have, like, they have phones that are set up for people to compete on anyway, like, for the main tournament? Like, why can't we have a side event where you have accounts that are, like, that have Pokemon that are ready to go?
The multi-accounting thing, I think, is a big issue for Niantic.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I'm not saying I agree with that, but I think, like, at least based on my understanding,
they can, like, create, like, a account for no one, that no one is going to use or have access to except for them.
Yeah. I don't know how this falls under multi-accounting, but I just know that it's a very strong issue they feel very strongly about, which, I, as, like, someone who's played the game for a while, I get. But like for them, like, I think spoofing's the worst offense you could do, and the multi-accounting is number 2. Yeah.
I know, but like, I just want an opportunity to kind of, like,
I don't disagree with your suggestion.
With, like, let someone, like, sit down with someone else who's new, not like, you're gonna battle someone who's already, like, won a regional or whatever. It's like you're gonna actually, like, learn from someone and then, like, face someone's, like, you can learn about it and see it in action. You can experiment, play around with, like, zero pressure. Because, again, like, one of the things I constantly find myself having a problem with is that, like, if someone jumps into GBL with no context, and as much as they can, like, look up some try to look up resources if they want, like YouTube videos or whatever, like, sometimes trying to watch that and then go into your account and be like, well, I don't have any of that. I really like this Pokemon. Let me use it. And just, like, have no context. For what you're supposed to do with it. Just it must be really, really frustrating and turn a lot of people off very quickly.
I agree.
And what better place to learn than when you're surrounded by other people who are competitive, who are interested,
Yeah, again, I mean, I talk about this, like, almost every week. Accessibility is definitely not an easy part of the game. Like, just give people a useful PvP team from the previous winner. Just give them the same IVs. Yeah. Like, does it really matter, right? Like, does it really matter? And also, like, if you really don't want to do that, like, make it so that it's a IV spread that's actually possible. Like, have it at least just be already 1500, right? Because the thing is, like, a lot of the stuff still costs a ton to, like, and give it the second move and give it the right moveset, right? I know it's possible, right? There's no way that's not possible, right? A company that made all this stuff is definitely able to. It's them not wanting to, for whatever reason. I don't understand the full reason, so there might be a deeper reason behind it. It might be, like, a hard no from the Pokemon company. I don't know, right? But I'm just saying, like, I feel like if Niantic really wants to give everyone a 1500 Pokemon, right, 1499 Pokemon with the right moves, with the second move unlocked, right to use right away, they can. Now, if they'll do it, different story. But again, like, it's just like, I promise you, it's not going to kill your company to do this, to give a Swampert with Hydro Cannon ready, right? It's not going to kill you, because I don't know how many people are going to buy Elite TM to give this Swampert they got with a 12-0-2 spread, right? to power up for PvP. Like, it's probably not going to happen, But also for a lot of people, they just don't have those resources. Like, the people that have those resources probably have that Swampert. So, who are you really helping here? But anyway, I agree with the take from 8th Great, and your suggestion as well too, Kaz. Mikasa says, long time listener, first time commenter. Inserting my comment from Caleb's video about the hack. Yeah, so Mikasa did write great comments on my personal YouTube where I talked about how I got hacked, on, like, what was going on and stuff. Pretty common hack honestly, that's impacting a lot of influencers and YouTubers these days too. I actually saw some guy following X. He has like a huge following on X and on YouTube as well. Even he got hacked. He's like 260K. And he's like, oh, like these guys keep hacking me even after the first time. I was like, just check your channel permissions because like they might still be a manager because that's what I had to do. So yeah. But Twastell says the same thing happened after the Maui fires when they announced Worlds would be in Hawaii or Honolulu, Hawaii. People were outraged on social media, and Worlds was going to be on a completely different island a whole year after the fires. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think especially for like Hawaii and stuff too. I know for like a lot of natives there are definitely areas where visitors can assist more in their own community efforts and stuff and tourism stuff. But generally speaking, tourism is much better for a local area. I think it's just more so if you have like natural habitat you want to kind of preserve and stuff. And there's obviously a lot of those in Hawaii, in LA, in Anaheim, not in Anaheim, in Pasadena. You guys are good. Come on down. A few other people flying in and for the weekend is not really changing too much. Abby Scar says, "Is Zionic playing? I don't see him in YouTube and Discord though." And then someone replied, Rich Rank says, "He's been off for months. He occasionally posts on X about testing things, but he's moved on from Pokemon Go content creating and posts Destiny content on his second channel, Zionic Gaming." Yeah, I talked to him like briefly too. He actually, honestly, in my opinion, Zionic's one of like the best people in the community. Not even just like from a content creator perspective, but just like as a person. That I've gotten really to know him over the years. And I'm not even saying this because this is the podcast that me and him started back in the day, and like I've friends with them. Like there's people that I've known for years, and like I wouldn't say necessarily as highly of things, but for me, like I don't say things to ever say things or just compliment people. I really mean it when I say that, but yeah, he like when the LA fires were going, he actually messaged me too, asking if I was okay, and I caught up with him briefly and stuff too. So he will be commentating at UIC, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I wish him the best either way, and maybe he comes back to the game one day, and if not, I don't blame him. He's putting in a lot of work and helped grow the community in many ways. So he's paid his dues and then some. Binge Crapper Weedio. I don't know. This is a long name. I'll just call it Binge for now. Or Bing. No, it's probably Binge. Binge says,
and this is a very long comment. Just heads up.
Yeah. I appreciate it. GPL rewards are laughable. It's a huge scam and a slap in the face every time there's a battle weekend. Getting Pokemon with a wider IV range is BS. Getting PvP IV Pokemon from the GPL should be illegal. They need to remove this immediately. It's a joke. Is this in quotes? I don't remember. So the fact that they promote the PvP League for international company and barely update the rewards and stay in tune with what the community wants and have all these outdated, nerfed, irrelevant Pokemon as counter rewards, ... The cups they create are terrible, just absolutely awful. The Love Cup, what is this garbage? Having certain Pokemon banned from their own leagues is so dumb. And then it says, GPL is boring. They should remove the premium battles. It's not worth doing. I'd rather use that battle pass on a raid. There's no actual incentive for me to use that battle pass on the Battle League, which I agree with. I don't either. Imagine at level 20, getting an encounter, and it's actually and it actually being what's in legendary raids, and you get the PPIV legendary Pokemon. What doesn't have PPIVs? It's just a Pokemon with garbage IVs. That is disrespectful. Each level of rewards needs to be a low Stardust, XP, and a counter, random item, something else. Each win should be 5 things. Using that battle pass on a raid, you get so much from using it on a raid within the Battle League. If they really want people playing the Battle League, they need to put any and all Pokemon that are new and fan favorites available from certain events. The Pokemon counter rewards need to be exciting things. I don't want a PP Pokemon from the PP League. I just want something fun, interesting, and new. If it spawns in the wild or hatches from eggs, it should not be a reward encounter. Whoever's in charge of this part of the game needs to be fired. They're terrible at their job, has no idea what the community actually wants. I mean, I think that's a definitely more, specific take as well. I think people that do PP a lot probably want more PP encounter related stuff, but I do think that I do agree that it should be updated, and some of the stuff is quite outdated. Honestly, not even just that. Some of the quest encounters are super outdated too. Like, I'm just like, dude, like this stuff, like no one's hunting for either anymore, right? Or it's like super common. Like I feel like quest rewards should always be something that you look forward to. Obviously, it's hard to please everyone, right? But it should be like stuff like some of the quest encounter stuff are so not exciting. I'm just like, what am I going to do with the Anorith, right?
Yeah, I don't even really do research except for when there's an event and I know like what is in the limited research tasks, from the special event. Like, I almost never do research outside that, and if I do, it's generally limited to like the things that are going to reward me, like Stardust or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I think that having different parts of the game that are themed appropriately, like you're getting PvP relevant Pokemon from participating in the Go Battle League, I think that's like the obvious answer. It's like, because the people who are doing it are the people who want those things anyway, and then the people that like don't care about it, like, don't need to be there. So
I guess one question I have is, food didn't really spawn much in the wild, right? Neither did
only
Frillish,
from like limited events.
Yeah. And then Frillish didn't either when it first came out. It was mostly just in Go Battle League, right? So
but
I guess my question
a lot of
is
events now featuring both of them.
Yeah. But when they're first released, right, they were only GBL exclusive encounters. So where I'm going with this is, how much if that would draw new players in, right? Because isn't that such a great way to promote PvP or get more people to GBL? Is you have encounters that you literally can't get anywhere else. Obviously, Pikachu Libre, but that's such an investment.
I mean, that's the way that I got all my Rookity. I didn't sit around at a lure waiting for them to spawn,
Yeah, but they're able to, right? But like now that the event's over, I think it's a great idea to have Rookity in the GBL pool so you get more people GBLing, because that's the only way you get it.
Yeah.
Instead, there's literally no way to get it, right? But it's kind of like, back when we had Frillish and Ming Fu for the first time, like those are the only ways to get it through PP. And I don't know how much of that kept people going, or like people just did it for the Dex collection. But I think some people probably played more GBL because they're trying to get enough candies and a good Jellicent to evolve from Frillish, right? When it first came out, it was super rare and hard to find. Or maybe it was just the blue version that was from GBL. I think that's what it was, which is slightly different, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we're both kind of looking at, even though we have sort of different ideas about it, is basically just changing the spawns to match, either events or kind of like what's been out but hasn't been as widely available, just to keep things a little more relevant, because right now they just do feel very stagnant. Like, why do I even need this Pokemon reward?
You sure do. All right, and then so who's Josh says, I've seen this scam before, and I work in IT. Hackers now get you to download something like a PDF or a video link for a meeting, which you were expecting, and looks legit. But when you click the link, it looks like it's broken, and then the malware runs through your account, and now it can bypass two-factor authentication. It's very sophisticated now, and not just a Nigerian prince, or maybe now they can fund a cybersecurity degree with all that crypto and a super yacht. No, Josh, I mean, that's I think exactly what happened to me too, right? Because I tried to open the app and like nothing happened. I was like, what's going on? And then meanwhile, they're doing all their stuff. But I was only saying 50 as a nice round number to work with as example for the Comday community bet. Pokemon are never debuts now, and they're just reruns of current Pokemon, even when the shiny is already out. So in bag Pokemon, I wouldn't have thought it would be that bad, even if it's like 10. But 75 to 80% shiny Pokemon is a good bet. Does put the peril and punish. I guess we can't do much now because they seem to announce Community Day Pokemon well in advance now, where the Univatour details or GoFest details are under wrapped until 2 weeks before. I'm actually the content before I'm actually the content that you have brought 2 months ago. I think there's some typo in there, but I get the gist. Yeah. Okay. So I think if Josh is cool with the two, let's go with I think we decided to go with 75/50 if you just can't play the event at all.
Yeah. But that is what Tristen seemed to be cool with, since he wasn't able to contribute to the discussion last time.
75% rounded down. I guess rounded down is fine. I'm big on the punishment factor. I'm down to round it up. I'm down for 90%. Well, 90% would be pretty rough.
Being so confident right now.
No, I've definitely guessed the typing stuff wrong, but
I think we all are. I think it's going to be rarer. I think it's going to be rarer that someone gets it right.
Yeah, I'm just going to hope that I'm not in last place.
Especially for things like that kind of fall outside the pattern. Like if we had been able to guess this episode, I'm pretty sure at least two of us would have guessed like Fuecco and fire type, and
I think if I thought about it enough, maybe like I'm definitely going to do some research and see like what the patterns are, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Sometimes it doesn't always like once they complete a starter collection, they're not always guaranteed to kind of like go into the next starter set, even to follow the pattern. They might wait a while longer.
Who's going to guess Carablast and Shelmet? It's not me.
Every time. No one would have guessed that. Like literally no one if you had asked any amount of Pokemon players, like any percentage of players, never in the world would have guessed Carablast and Shelmet.
Yeah.
Good gosh.
Our final comment from Rich Rank says, when trading chips got hacked, I'm pretty sure it was by crypto hackers as well. He luckily already had a second YouTube channel that he was posting updates to, and it took a few days for him to get recovered. Yeah, I think I got super lucky because I literally got my account back in under 24 hours, right? But I think that's not usually how fast YouTube works. Unless they're better about it these days. I don't know, because I definitely have less subscribers than trading chips.
It could be. I mean, it could be that as the efforts to compromise accounts get more sophisticated, the response also gets a little more sophisticated. I'd like to hope, but yeah, I'm glad too that it happened so quickly that you were able to get your account back.
Yeah. He hasn't. I don't think he posted about it though when he got his account hacked. At least I probably would have made a video if I were him. I was like, hey, I'm sure people are curious about how this went. But he has over 1 million subscribers, so that's they definitely didn't prioritize me because I have a bigger following than Trading Chips by any means. Anyway, that does it for our comments. Thank you all so much for leaving YouTube comments / Podbean comments.
Yes, Jen leaving her Podbean comments. Thank you.
I learned a lot today about birds. I got a point on Kaz's corner. I'm feeling good,
all around a good. It's all coming up, Caleb.
Brennan a pretty good day. Well, yeah, the bird education was.
Let's see how it goes when we make our community day bets next time.
We'll have to wait a few weeks for that. But hey, I'm only a point away from Tristen on tying Tristen.
It's true. You and Tristen.
I felt so locked in. The moment I saw that picture, I was like, "There's no way. There's no way."
Yeah, I can't believe. I couldn't believe that Steve felt so confident and then was like, busted.
I feel like this is how he feels when he team builds with Wilmer before he joins the tournament, before the tournament starts. Anyway, hope you all have a great one. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you all next week. Peace out.